You know, I hate these November baseball stories where Major League Baseball tries to control the whole week
by
announcing
baseball.
all its stupid awards.
You hate baseball.
But we do have one legit baseball story, Tony. Once again, there are rumors that A-Rod and Nomar are going to be traded this winter. But Tony, I know you're a seam head, hot stove, baseball sycophant.
You mean Bud?
You think A-Rod and or Nomar will be traded before spring training?
It is clear that the Texas Rangers want to unload A-Rod's salary of $25 million a year. Having said that, I believe that every major league team, except two, should jump at the chance to get A-Rod.
Who?
Those two would be the Boston Red Sox with Nomar Garciaparra and the New York Yankees with Derek Jeter.
But Tony, they can just put A-Rod at third base. Well, they don't have a Hall of Fame third base.
The only reason you do this if you're Boston is because Garciaparra has said to you, I'm not going to stay.
Right.
I don't want to be around this anymore.
Right.
And then if you can make that trade even up, then you make that trade because you got a guy locked in for 8 more years.
But they're talking about three-way trades where the Rangers don't even wind up with Nomar. They wind up with...
Because the Rangers want to dump salary because they made a terrible mistake.
Then why did they sign this guy? The owner didn't inherit this salary situation. He created it.
This guy did it because he thought he could sell tickets and he could sell cable advertising. He thought it would make him millions. He didn't get any pitching.
Wrong.
In baseball,
pitching.
What's the guts to have?
Pitching.
Pitching. That's right. There's a report in the Dallas Morning News that the Texas Rangers would like Roger Clemens, speaking of pitching, to pitch for them next year. That even though Clemens has repeatedly said he's retiring, the Rangers would try to tempt him with a Nolan Ryan-like deal where he could pitch mostly at home and have liberal leave to be with his family in Texas. Wilbon, do you think that could tempt Roger Clemens?
I think there are a dozen offers that could tempt Roger Clemens.
Do you believe he's retiring?
Yeah, I'm not that inclined to believe. I believe he'll retire unless he gets a situation that's tailor-made for him in the state of Texas. Now, let me ask you this.
He could have a great situation with the Yankees.
I believe, is in Houston. Yeah, but if let's take him at his word, Tony, that he wants to be in Texas where he can get back to his family, back and forth more frequently.
Right.
Then why not go to Houston?
Because you don't want to pitch in the National League if you're Roger Clemens.
That's right.
Roger Clemens has 310 wins lifetime. He was 17-9 last year. He could win 17 again for the Yankees easily if he wants to pitch. I'm inclined to take him at his word right now. But as we saw with Michael Jordan, all of a sudden you start to feel around March or April.
You say it, you're going to miss it.
No, you mean it when you say it right then. But then when the guys get together and they go to spring training or they go to preseason camp, you say, you know, that's what I want to do because I can still do it.
Is it possible that pitching in Texas is easing into a legitimate retirement and maybe going to Yankees cold turkey?
Here's an option that's not available anymore. He thought he could still pitch by pitching for the Olympic team in Athens. The U.S. Olympic team got eliminated. They're not even going to Athens.
That was only a 2-week deal anyway. I ought to...
Well, your boy Bartman may not have surfaced yet, but the ball he muffed that may have cost the Cubs a shot at the World Series, that ball has surfaced. A 33-year-old attorney named Jim has it and is going to auction it off for a minimum bid of $5,000. Is the Bartman ball something that generations of Wilbons would want on their mantelpiece?
There's something of Bartman's that this generation of Wilbons would want on the mantelpiece, but I'm not going to say what it is, and it ain't the stupid ball. I wonder how much that's going to go for. I mean, are we looking at a home run situation where it's going to go for a ton of money and people are going to regret it later?
I have no interest in it because I'm not from Chicago. But I would imagine it has historical value to a Cubs fan. I honestly believe that. I think that it'll be bidded up and up and up. Oh, yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. Let me tell you what we would like to do with Bartman, okay? Bang, zoom, to the moon. Not Florida, to the moon with Bartman and anything touched and contaminated by Bartman.
Are you suggesting that Chicagoans will not buy this ball? They'll boycott Bartman's ball?
I think somebody else will buy the ball. I think it will not be a true Chicagoan. And if he does, pow in the kisser.
I'd buy it for you. By the way, somehow I don't think Ralph Brandon ever wore a silk Tommy Bahama shirt under his jacket like Wilbon
Watch out, Norton.
Yesterday, Wilbon and I were forced to do a dog and pony show for SportsCenter on the NL MVP race, as if there were actually a race. Wilbon, you built a case for Albert Pujols and Gary Sheffield before laughingly coming to your senses and realizing Barry Bonds should be the MVP. Well, the results are in. Bonds, 28 first-place votes. Pujols, 3. 1 for Sheffield, presumably yours, Wilbon. Of course it's Barry Bonds.
What are you gloating? You thumping your chest? Is that what you're doing now?
That's what I'm talking about, Willis.
What's the point? Of course it was going to be Barry Bonds. I was trying to make an intelligent case for 2 other people so we can do our routine here. I would have voted for Barry Bonds, too, I think, although Pujols had a
nobody
great season.
pitches to him. Remember yesterday we looked at his statistics and he only had 90 RBI? That's because nobody pitches to him.
Once there's somebody on base, they just give him a pass.
He now has 6 MVP awards, 3 more than anybody in the history of baseball.
There's only one thing I care about historically. Has he passed your childhood idol, Willie Mays, as a ball player? That's all I care about. What's your answer to that?
Nice of you to say. You used to say my childhood idol was Babe Ruth. No, he has not passed Willie Mays because he's my childhood idol.
You.
Welcome back to the PTI Psychic Hotline, where I use my extrasensory perception to foretell the future, and Wilbon just guesses randomly. Let's take the first call.
Yo, dudes, do you see A-Rod playing for the Rangers next season?
No! Someone's going to trade for A-Rod. Maybe it'll be the Mets. Maybe it'll be the Red Sox with a 3-way with Nomar going someplace else. Maybe it'll be the Braves. Look, the guy doesn't talk to the field manager. He doesn't talk to the general manager. They want to get rid of him, and he's the best player in baseball. No, he's gone.
Saying he won't be playing for the Rangers is the easy part. If you were a seer of any renown, you'd know where he's going. You wouldn't give me this either-or scenario.
And you do?
He's going
to the Cubs?
To Wrigley Field.
You think he's going to the Cubs?
He's going to Chicago Cubs. He'll be playing every day there. Sadly, you haven't asked me who the Cubs have to give up.
Who do they have to give up?
K. Wood.
And you would make that trade because he's going to be a free agent, right?
He's going to be a free agent. And like Greg Maddux, 12 years ago,
they have the money.
He could walk 10 years ago.
Wrigley,
they have the money.
Chicago
Plus,
Tribune has the money.
Plus, they'll have to renegotiate down some for anyone to want.
He's already burned 3 years of the contract. It's not that onerous anymore. What's next? Sometimes on PTI, we need to cut down on the yelling and treat serious issues seriously. This isn't one of those times.
Yeah.
Role play, Mikey. You give, right. I will receive.
Let's get to it. Do you know who you are?
No.
You're Barry Bonds. You've decided that no one else can market your likeness. How's that going to help improve your image, which ain't so good, by the way?
Well, actually, it isn't. My likeness is just about money and has nothing to do with my image. There's only one way that I can improve my image. You know it, and I know it.
How?
I have to take a steroid test like all the rest of the major leaguers, and I have to pass a steroid test. Because what's happened is I got 6 MVPs. Nobody will pitch to me. I'm the greatest guy maybe ever as a hitter. I'm going to pass Willie Mays coming up. I'm going to pass Babe Ruth. And all everybody says is, yeah, sure, look at him. He's on the juice. So the fact
Your image wasn't so good even before the steroid issue came up.
But that was a different kind of image. That was interpersonal. And that's nothing compared to the fact that people think I'm on steroids. And I have reached a point where it doesn't matter that I say I'm not on steroids. I have to pass the test.
Gotta be tested, baby.
I have to pass the test.
Get that little plastic
and I know
cup.
Here we go.
Curt Schilling has a wonderful choice in front of him, it appears to me. He can go to Boston by 5 p.m. Friday, where the Red Sox have already worked out a trade for him. Or Schilling, who has a no-trade clause in his contract, could say no to the Red Sox and wait for the Yankees to swoop in and work out a deal to bring him to New York. Or perhaps one of the other 27 Major League Baseball teams could wake up from a nap and make a deal for him. Tony, if you're Schill, would you go to Boston?
Yeah, let me eliminate that other 2017 thing.
What are they doing?
Because
They're
it's about Boston and New York.
Why?
Peter Gammons told me something that I think is very interesting today.
What?
Here's the pitch you make if you're the Red Sox. You say, you know what, Schill? A lot of people have come in with the Yankees and won World Series. It's nothing special. It's great. It's lovely, but it's nothing special. You come here. You win a World Series in Boston. You're a baseball god.
Yes,
you are an immortal because they haven't won a World Series in 40,000 years. Yeah. So you appeal to Schilling's vanity, which we've seen he's got some of.
Sure.
And I think that all other things being equal, that's the way to go. He has also talked about, though, the notion of what's best for his family. I'm assuming that you can raise your family fine in Boston as you can anyplace else.
Yeah, but I mean, children may be in school. They may have special needs and circumstances. I don't know how that works. But what about the other 27? Why are they all looking at the Yankees and Red Sox while they do nothing? Teams like Atlanta and Chicago Cubs who have money. It stinks.
Listen very carefully. They're not in that league.
Are they gutless? Are they stupid? Are they unwilling?
Much. It doesn't matter as much.
That's sad. That's a sad situation for Major League Baseball.
Here, get the email. Ridiculous.
Mail time. Mail time.
Not going to be the coach.
He could be the coach of Nebraska. The Red Sox get Curt Schilling. The Yankees counter with Gary Sheffield. Who got the more valuable player?
There is no question, none whatsoever, that Curt Schilling is more valuable to the Red Sox than Sheffield will be the Yankees. Sheffield is a wonderful player, but the Red Sox already have hitting. The Red Sox now get a 1 or 1A pitcher to go right there with Pedro. they've jumped ahead of the Yankees now.
As long as Curt Schilling goes back to the form he demonstrated in 2002 when he was 23-7, 2001 he was 22-6, even before that when he won 17, 15, 15.
Why are you reading
as
from a
long
list?
as I want to get it accurately, you don't go around remembering these numbers. As long as Curt Schilling returns to that form, not this last season form, he was 8 and 9. He's the more valuable guy.
Yankees need pitchers. They have to re-sign
But
Pettitte.
he has to be out there. Sheffield has averaged 315, 35, and 105. If Schilling doesn't take this number, start, and Sheffield produces Scott
Schilling
has to do it.
That's why they got it. Well, of course he has to do it.
Hey,
it's legit.
The Yankees and Red Sox continue to explore deals that will lead to one beating the other and standing triumphantly atop baseball late next October. Newsday says Kevin Brown is the latest big name said to be considered by the Yankees, while the Red Sox are supposedly still trying to deal for A-Rod. And most of us could give a damn. Go ahead, Tony. Make your idiotic case that people in New Mexico and Indiana and Ohio and Hawaii and even Alaska care about the arms race between the Yankees and the Sox.
You know what's great about you?
Go ahead, Mr. Northeast.
You know what's great about you?
Right ahead.
You're not just wrong. You're loud wrong. Okay?
People in Illinois.
Yes, they do.
And
I'm going to tell you why in Illinois they do.
I'm
going to tell why in Illinois. Because of the Chicago Cubs. Chicago's in Illinois.
They care about the Cubs.
The resurrection of baseball depends in part on the resurrection of the hot stove league. You had a great playoff this year with the Cubs, the Sox, and the Yankees.
I'll agree with you.
Record people watching.
They care about their hot stove situations, not the Yanks and the Sox.
But when baseball bubbles up like this, people do care about it. You know what they care most? Baseball used to be the #1 sport. Then the NFL crushed it.
Yeah.
The NBA was beating it for a while.
Yeah.
You want to know what nobody cares about?
What?
The NBA.
Some people care about.
Baseball
Maybe
is
not
bubbling
in
up.
your house.
Baseball
and other houses.
bubbling up.
Do you know what
No houses.
New York and New England comprise
No
in this country?
houses. No
Less
Nielsen
than
houses.
10%.
No
you can
houses.
scream as you want. Less than 10%
We'll move
of
on,
200.
whatever.
No, we won't.
Kim
Of 280 million people, Mr. Northeast New Yorker.
Baseball,
10% of 280. Nobody cares
baseball
about
was America's sport and can be again.
Washed
Can
up.
be again.
Has
no,
been
NBA washed up. And on a medal ceremony, I would wear what the country wore. Wouldn't you?
What do you think?
You're going to bag it?
What do you think the Yankees and Red Sox will wear? What do you think they'll wear?
You hate it that baseball has made a comeback.
No, I like it.
You hate it.
I like it.
You rip.
Just don't tell me that the Sox and the Yankees control the country. This is insane. Don't tell me in Southern California they care about the Sox and the Yankees.
If this was the Cubs, you'd be going nuts.
No one would care but me. See, that's the difference between New Yorkers, Northeasterners, the I-95 corner jerks, the arrogant, presumptuous jerks
everybody in the Northeast.
Me.
Wrap everybody in the Northeast.
That's what New Yorkers stand up and do.
Where do you live? What city do you visit most?
New York and Boston.
You live in Washington.
That's right.
Where's
Not
that?
New York
What's that,
and Boston.
Deep Midwest?
Now,
what are we, in the Bible Belt?
2 reality shows.
Wilbon holds the completely moronic view that nobody outside the Northeast cares about the hot stove war between the Red Sox and Yankees. So I'm bringing in our Southwest Bureau Chief, Richard Justice of the Houston Chronicle, to explain to Wilbon what an imbecile he is. Richie, you're out there somewhere south and west of Philly. Do people care about this?
Well, I'm honored to speak on behalf of America. I've always wanted to represent the hinterlands.
Good.
When I'm done here, I'm going to go tromp through Iowa and New Hampshire to show what a man of the people I am, to see if I can use one of those checkout things at a grocery store. I think it's an amusing story for the rest of the country, and I think it's a somewhat dangerous story for baseball. I think baseball fans everywhere, and the sport was elevated a little bit during these playoffs. I think they care about it. I think they're interested in it, and they're a little bit amused by it. But I think there's a danger of disconnect. Remember, we went through a whole 10-year period where only a few teams competed, and now if you're in Kansas City or if you're in Milwaukee, where they've basically said we don't have any money.
Milwaukee never competes. Kansas City never competes.
If you're in one of those places, you say, well, what's that got to do with me? They get richer.
Thank you, Richie.
We get bupkis here.
Thank you. He didn't want to hear that. You know, but the problem, too, and you alluded to this, is if baseball becomes just a sport where these two teams dominate the news all winter, where do other people, other fans, feel they can participate? Is that part of what you're talking about here? They feel left out.
You know what's interesting is there are a lot of owners, or there are owners who feel they would like the Yankees to win every year, that it elevates the sport in the eyes of the public.
Because it does.
Having these teams front and center is good for everyone.
Well, let me give you an example of this. We talk about how the NBA's got nothing going on right now. Then when is the NBA at its best? When the Lakers and the Celtics are competitive. I mean, every league needs some dominant teams. The NFL is the only league that doesn't need it. Baseball is the only league where trades matter. This gins it up for everybody, Michael.
If the Yankees winning every year was going to be so good, Richard, then why were they part of the lowest half of the lowest rated World Series on television ever? Yankees Mets gave us nothing but the lowest.
Okay, but what's the highest rated playoff? We just had it. The Cubs, the Red Sox, and the Yankees. People understand. People want to have big teams.
The Cubs and the Red Sox are sort of a different story onto their own. They captured the public's imagination.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, though. When any of the other teams are in, the TV ratings plummet, and the sport does not know how to get that back yet. And I think we're settling in probably with cable TV and all those issues. What is the grounds? What is the support for the sport right now?
But don't you think? I mean, other teams do get involved, and there are teams that have money. The Phillies made a big move last year. They went and got Jim Thome. I mean, other teams actually do make moves, and baseball seems to be the only sport where the off-season matters.
Yeah, the offseason matters, and right now the Yankees and the Red Sox are the only ones making headlines of note. Everybody else, every place else, the news has been bad. We don't have any money. We're going to trade your favorite player. Right here in Houston, they traded Billy Wagner, one of those popular players the franchise ever had. Just said, we don't have any money.
Well, I thought they were loading up to get Andy Pettitte.
The Texas Rangers have the best player in baseball, and all they want to do is get rid of him.
Well, how is that good for the sport? I mean, that's not good for any other sport.
It's good if he lands with the Yankees or the Red Sox.
And Richie
well,
is so
that is exactly right. If Alex
Right.
Rodriguez ends up playing in October for the Boston Red Sox, then it was good for the sport. But you're right. I mean, but I'm not sure that's changed any. Haven't the Yankees always dominated the sport, and every team is sort of a satellite of those teams?
The NFL is the only sport that can get away with change at the top every single year.
That's
bulletproof.
That's
the NFL's bulletproof.
That's not the argument. The argument, Richie, is whether people in Texas, yes, people in Texas care because of A-Rod, because of Wagner, but do they care about the silly machinations with the Red Sox and Yankees?
Sure they do.
every
They're in the
single
American
day?
League.
Let's let
Sure they do.
somebody in the heartland
Go ahead,
out from
Richard.
Long Island
Go ahead.
give us an answer.
I forgot the question.
The fact of the matter, people
I
care
think they're
about it.
amused by it.
Amused. Thank you very much.
I don't think they're getting up in the morning and running to their laptops like I am.
Well, they should.
They don't
Thank
see
you,
Theo
Richard.
Epstein as
Richard Justice, boys
the
and
Beatles.
girls. Coming back.
Is that possible?
60 years old.
He doesn't look like
It's not only
Doesn't
possible,
look as old as
it's
you.
accurate. Mike, you are George Steinbrenner.
Whoa.
It was reported that you had landed Gary Sheffield, but now the New York Times says things are a little uncertain. Why are you personally negotiating this deal?
Because I do everything here. You know that, Tony.
I
You
do.
covered me.
I do.
Because I don't trust anybody who
That's
works
right.
for me. If it wasn't for Major League Baseball's rules as they're currently constructed, I would manage the team and owned it. If I could, I'd go out there and play shortstop and throw Jeter out and let him go clubbing all night.
And
so
don't
I
you
gotta
feel
take control of
great?
this.
Don't you feel great that the Yankees and the Sox are the talk of the whole country?
That's
don't
right.
you feel
Because
great?
everybody wants to
That's
pay
right.
attention to me
That's right.
and Theo Epstein.
That's exactly right.
Isn't it?
Pin-up boy Theo Epstein. Here's a story that I know Michael Wilbon is going to love.
What is it?
It's the latest chapter in the ongoing hot stove war
please.
between the Yankees and the Sox. Wilbon, today, Boston introduced Terry Francona as its manager, and today, the Yankees traded Nick Johnson to Montreal for Javier Vasquez, a highly rated right-hand starter who could step right in for Roger Clemens. So now, at this moment in time, I ask you, who's ahead? Yankees or the Sox?
I don't care.
Yeah, you do.
I don't
Come
know.
on, yeah, you
Is
do.
Javier Vasquez related to Julian Javier? Because that's the last Javier
You care.
I know of.
You
no,
care.
I don't.
Come on, this is big stuff.
I don't.
It
'Cause
leads
right
every
now,
newscast.
We got
Leads every
the
sportscast.
Cubs have the Florida first baseman, Lee, came over to replace Hee-Seop Choi. That's what I care about.
Derek Lee
You
is the
tell
guy.
me who's ahead.
Derek Lee is the guy. You know what's interesting about this?
What?
Major League Baseball owns and runs the Expos, right?
Yeah.
So if they agree to this trade, aren't they trying to strengthen the Yankees? Doesn't it mean baseball wants this to go
How
on?
fraudulent would that be?
I think it'd be
Where
fine.
are the other teams?
I think it'd be
by
fine,
the
and
way?
you know why?
Why?
'Cause everybody cares about the Yankees in this.
I'm not going to yell and scream today.
Everybody.
I'm not as old as you, Tony.
Well, we've arrived at the part of the show that Wilbon loves best. Sox and Yankees.
God help me.
In today's episode, the Sox try to pry A-Rod loose from Manny Ramirez and then try to trade Nomar to Anaheim. All it's going to cost the Sox is the hundreds of millions of dollars that convey with A-Rod's contract, and oh yeah, a few tens of millions of dollars as a buyback on Manny's contract. So, Wilbon, should the Red Sox do it?
They have to wait long enough and basically call Texas's bluff. Because I don't understand why Texas would be expecting any money back from the Boston Red Sox.
Only if they think they can get it.
Let me tell you something else. A-Rod, if he goes somewhere else, and A-Rod signed this, let A-Rod write a check for the $4 million a year that it sounds like Boston would have to pay.
Manny.
Are we serious here?
How great would that be if A-Rod subsidized Manny when he went to Texas to take his place? Or you could look at it differently. He subsidizes his escape to a contender. By the way, Larry Lucchino announces last year that the Yankees are the evil empire. And aren't his tactics exactly the same that the Yankees use?
But I still love the fact that he went at Steinbrenner. But yes, same
but
tactics.
It's the same.
And where are the other teams in the bidding for some of these players?
Well,
where are they?
Are
they asleep?
I think the Phillies are trying. I think the Phillies
Cubs
are trying.
Seem to be
I think
trying
the Cubs are trying.
They seem to be.
Last
one. With everybody in Boston, okay, here we go again with this baseball hot stove junk, obsessed about landing A-Rod, wouldn't you be feeling slightly underappreciated if you were, say, Nomar?
He is feeling underappreciated. He said today that he had never said to the Red Sox that he wanted to leave Boston. He said that he and his wife had bought a home in Boston. I'll tell you what, I agree with him in this. On the other hand, if the reports are true that the Red Sox tried to give him an extension and he rebuffed them, then he doesn't have a leg to stand on.
He's taking the high road. He did not say, I'm getting no respect. He said, my heart and my first option have always been with the Red Sox, and it hasn't strayed from that.
He is a Hall of Fame shortstop. So is A-Rod. Would you take one over the other or keep them both?
I get them both and say, A-Rod, you're coming in. He's the incumbent. You can work it out. Otherwise, we're putting you at third base.
If they do that, if they pay that kind of money for Nomar and A-Rod, then they are the evil empire. Time for a break.
Tony, I've been railing against offseason baseball stories, but this one's pretty good, I'll admit.
Cubs are in it?
No. Oh. While the Yankees have paid so much attention to David Wells and Gary Sheffield, they've apparently let one of the great left-handers in the club's storied history be lured away by his hometown team, the Houston Astros. Reports from the Houston Chronicle say that Andy Pettitte has already passed the physical and is on the verge of signing with the Astros. So, Tony, what's your boy George Steinbrenner going to do now?
Well, if he's got a brain in his head, he's going to make a last-minute rush to Andy Pettitte, and he's going to say, stay here, because someday you could pass Whitey Ford. You could be the preeminent left-hander in this whole franchise. Andy Pettitte right now has, I believe, more postseason wins than anybody, a total of 13. And I still think the Yankees are in better position to get to the postseason than the Houston Astros. So I assume he'll make a full-court press.
Let me ask you this. If he had a brain in his head, why didn't he take care of Andy Pettitte before he went to worry about 40-year-old David Wells, who he has run-ins with all the time?
Because maybe,
why do that?
The only thing I can think of is that Pettitte's personality is such that maybe he felt that Pettitte would still be there. Now, do you think...
He dissed the nice guy who stays off the front and back pages of the New York Post.
What would you do in this if you were Andy Pettitte? Would you go to Houston? Roger Clemens has told him to stay with the Yankees.
What it's like to love another place where you are not living. If he loves Houston that much, I say go to Houston, be happy, let him pay a lot of money. And Houston's not a dog team, Tony. They're close.
But you know the history of people going to their hometowns. It usually doesn't work out. We're staying with baseball. After a few days of letting Nomar Garciaparra and his agent Arn Tellem look for sympathy in the media for the alleged shabby way the Red Sox were treating Nomar, Red Sox owner John Henry firing back with big guns. He called Tellem's statements, quote, the height of hypocrisy, unquote, and said the Red Sox indeed offered Nomar a contract extension and had indeed notified the agent that they were seriously looking to acquire Alex Rodriguez. Mike, can you now imagine the beloved Nomar playing again with the Red Sox this season?
Yes, I can, because most things get patched up. Because cooler heads ultimately prevail. That's what I believe. Theo Epstein, who, of course, invented baseball just last year, he took a nice stance and said, you know what, we're not going to talk about the trade anymore. This could happen. We may have to keep. I thought that was smart. But, at this point, Tony, yes, I can see that happening. You want to just throw Nomar? Does Nomar have to go?
Here's what I'm thinking, okay? If Nomar is able to leave after his contract is up in a year and they get nothing for him, that's like what happened with Roger Clemens and Mo Vaughn.
Okay.
I believe that ultimately the Red Sox have put themselves in a bad position. They now have to get Alex Rodriguez because they're going to lose Manny Ramirez. They're going to lose Nomar.
But you got money. You got money. You're the Red Sox.
If you had the opportunity.
A-Rod, 28 years old versus 31 years old. He's the best player in the game. But sometimes, Tony, it doesn't fit. When you have a guy who's the heart and soul of your club, maybe you need to keep that guy even if his stats aren't as high and his age is a little
So you would take Nomar over A-Rod?
I think I would take A-Rod, but don't make this a slam dunk. This is a hard decision in that. This is not, some sort of automatic.
Nice shot at Theo Epstein, who is 1 for 1. I mean, he's done pretty well at 28.
Did he win the World Series?
No.
What do they need in Boston?
A World Series.
A lot of times the Red Sox get to the World Series. What happens?
He's 28. He's got 70 more years.
Yeah, good. He invented baseball this morning. I've heard you say that.
We will start with Andy Pettitte making official today that he is going home to Houston to play for the Astros for the next 3 years and $31.5 million. Pettitte said he took nearly $8 million less from the Astros than the Yankees offered. You would think that would cripple the Yankees. But the Yankees have just come right back and traded for Kevin Brown, who is as good a right-hander as Pettitte is a left-hander. So I guess, Michael, the Yankees haven't lost all that much with this deal.
Maybe not, but when you lose a lefty, you lose more than if you lose a righty. The other thing is Pettitte is much more durable.
They have a lefty in David Wells.
He's also going to be 41 years old during the season.
Had a good year.
Pettitte is going to be 32 years old during the season. Here's the key thing, Tony. He has only missed part of one season of his career. And in the same time, Kevin Brown made 102 starts, and he's 38 years old, will be by opening day. Pettitte made 118 starts.
I will grant you that, and I will use the words Roger Clemens. He came to the Yankees as an old right-hander, was very durable, had some great years. I think Pettitte made a mistake for this 2 reasons. One, I don't think you go home again. I think it works out badly. I'll give you Ken Griffey as an example. And 2, I don't think he's going to get to the postseason with the Astros like he got there with the Yankees. And he's a great postseason pitcher.
The Astros get to the postseason a lot. They don't win. He came.
They don't advance.
That's not what you said.
They don't advance.
I'll give you a homecoming that worked out great. And by the way, I overwhelmingly agree with you on going home. It's difficult. Barry Bonds went home, was not the best player in baseball when he left Pittsburgh, is the best player in baseball
Bonilla,
now.
it didn't work out. Stephon Marbury, it didn't work out. Most of the time, it doesn't work out.
Prime. You know what? I give him credit. It wasn't just the money that blinded him.
No.
And 31 mil is worth more in Houston than 39 mil is in New York City. Yeah. He did okay.
But for $31 million, you can do well. Okay, wherever you
Almost
are. For 39, you can do well.
Even you can do well on 31 mil.
Kobe Bryant, why not? You're the guy who said to do it. Nomar in Boston. Here's the problem with Nomar.
What?
Number 1, they are openly courting Alex Rodriguez, who plays Nomar's position. Number 2, the owner came out. It's very testy now between the owner and Nomar because he called Nomar's agent a complete hypocrite.
Here's how you fix the Nomar problem. It's very simple.
What?
Give him the $15 million today you offered him in April. Don't go down to 12. Show him some love. Throw a parade and give him the $15 million, and everything will be fine.
So you would rather have Nomar than have Alex Rodriguez?
I bring in A-Rod, and I say, A-Rod, you're coming in.
It's not enough money.
A-Rod's got to negotiate down despite the union.
He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that.
Who told you he's not going to do it?
Oh,
did you talk to A-Rod?
Would you do it? Would you ever take less money in your life? I'll drill you in the head if you would. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Roger Clemens considers a comeback, Darko blows a dunk, and Wade Boggs gets a new head of hair. We start with the biggest story in sports, day after day after day, Wilbon, the hot stove league.
God.
In today's episode, the Yankees expect to agree to terms with Kenny Lofton, a 6-time All-Star with 4 Gold Gloves in center field. This would allow the Yankees to make Bernie Williams a switch-hitting DH. Meanwhile, Alex Rodriguez, who wants to leave Texas, is getting increasingly pessimistic that will happen. Come on, Wilbon. The hot stove league has your blood racing.
Yeah, here's why. Not the hot stove league. It's just the I-95 portion of the hot stove league.
Really?
Where I was promised by you that the Yankees and the Sox were going to have an arms race. And here's what they got so far. Soon-to-be 37-year-old Kenny Lofton going to New York. Kevin Brown, 39, missing a bunch of starts the last few years.
Close to the Hall of Fame.
Going to New York. 39.
Close to the Hall of Fame.
Vasquez, who we don't even know if can stand up to the pressures of New York. And what's Boston got? Another, yes, future Hall of Famer, 38-year-old pitcher. Wake me when they get somebody who matters, okay?
Let me ask you a question. First of all, so you got I-95 right now going through Houston with Andy Pettitte. I-95 made a real turn to the west at that point.
Sadly, now, this is the division of Cubs playing. They're going to hurt my team.
If this was the NBA, here's what you would say.
Nothing.
You would say, wow, there's a lot of movement so far. This shapes up to be a great season.
No,
you got Pettitte moving, Schilling moving, Kevin Brown, Richie Sexton, Billy Wagner, Bartolo Colon, maybe A-Rod,
has nothing to do with
Nomar, maybe Manny Ramirez.
Maybe Ernie Banks will come back to play.
I doubt that. You just hate baseball.
No, I don't. I told you what I hate. I hate the Sox, Yankees, nuclear armament, except they got a bunch of 39-year-old people. The people they got are Fred Sanford at this point. That's who they got.
Kevin Brown and Schilling.
They're going to the Hall of Fame. So is Michael Jordan. Should he come back and play?
When I thought he should have.
Well, of course,
when
I'm asking
Roger Clemens went to the Yankees, he was about that age and had about 3 great seasons.
You going to argue they're Roger Clemens? You want to make that argument?
Yes, Kevin Brown right now is what Roger Clemens was
Hall
when he joined the Yankees.
To be 39 and injured lately.
You just hate baseball. You hate Bud.
This doesn't shape up to be a great NFL summer.
Welcome back to the precinct. I'm Officer Kornheiser. This is Officer Wilbon. We're here to play a little good cop, bad cop. Let's get the first suspect. Roger Clemens. Will he go to the Astros? I am the good cop on this. He should never even be considering retirement. He was 17-9 with the Yankees last year, under a 4 ERA. If he wants to pitch with the Astros, I say let him do it.
I say let him not do it. Why? Because he's in the same division as the Cubs. You sat here yesterday and you said the Astros can't get to the playoffs with Pettitte. Well, they can get to the playoffs with Pettitte, and they certainly can get there and do damage with Clemens.
I also
of course,
said,
the Astros
I said it wouldn't work for Pettitte because it's no good to go home. In Clemens' case, at his age, he wants to go home and be with his family. He could become a closer. He could spend 6 innings at each game at home eating, and if the Astros are ahead, he could drive to the ballpark for the 9th.
The bad cop on this is going to kill the Cubs 1 year after.
It's just
like going through it. It's completely selfish.
Let's go next.
Will,
Roger Clemens says he's not joining the Astros now, but he may feel differently in February. Do you think he's really torn or just stringing this out before his inevitable return?
There's not been anything in Roger Clemens' history that suggests he toys with people. Throw at their head, yes. Toy with people, no. I think he's probably conflicted. The guy went out with wins in, and what was he, like 13-6 when he went out?
17-9 with an ERA under 4.
He can still pitch. He's going to be closer to his home. He can satisfy family concerns. He can do both.
I think it was legitimate when he said he wanted to retire. But he set this thing up because he filed for free agency. So if you were a part of the Yankees, you might say, oh, he just wanted to get Pettitte to Houston, and then he would join Pettitte in Houston.
If he did,
kill the Yankees. You'd be happy. Yeah, you would be happy.
I'm not happy because who do they have to go for and beat up on before they get to the Yankees?
I think he will pitch because Houston will make it so easy for him to stay home and pitch at the same time. I think he's going to pitch, and I think he should pitch.
Well, you've been saying that all along,
right.
So you're trumpeting yourself being right.
That's right.
The Orioles have signed Miguel Tejada, have made an offer to Vlad, and are talking to Pudge. Should we start talking about the O's in the same breath with the Red Sox and the Yankees?
No. The Orioles finished 30 games out last year. They have been in 4th place in that division 6 straight years. So, no. They were out of the baseball business completely after the Albert Bell fiasco. They spent no money at all.
Well, they're back in now because the $13 million payment is paid.
That's fine.
They appear to be ready to rock and roll.
But they are very far behind the Red Sox. They are very far behind the Yankees. And if they weren't, their attendance wouldn't have sunk by 33.33% for 6 years.
Here's what I find interesting. Apparently, the American League East title is just open to buy. Anybody who has to cash and carry the AL East title.
That doesn't work that way.
Baseball be disturbed by that?
You know why it doesn't work that way? Because look at the Orioles. They spent a lot of money, and they spent it unwisely the last time around. The Alex Rodriguez trade rumor is on again, off again, on again, off again, and now apparently on again. And Mike, I don't want to debate the Sox and the Yankees.
No, let's do that.
I just want to ask you, are you sympathetic to Alex Rodriguez wanting to leave Texas for a team with a chance to win the World Series?
Hell no. He told the team, which he led into contention every year, I don't want your $10 to $15 million. I'm going to go for the big payday to Texas. A-Rod is a smart guy. He knew they didn't have any pitching. He had to know he couldn't win alone. He chose money over contention, Tony, which is fine. I'm all for that. But don't whine.
He hasn't had a single meaningful at-bat in Texas.
Too bad.
Now, you say, I'll switch sports, people like Karl Malone and Gary Payton, you think it's wonderful that in their careers, they're not getting a chance to play for a title. How are they different than Alex Rodriguez?
Here's how. A-Rod is, 28 years old? Gary Payton is at least 36, and Karl Malone is 40 or 41. They looked at the end of their careers to an opportunity, and they took less money to contend.
Do you think there's an age limit in this? At what point will you feel sympathy for Alex Rodriguez?
Not
when he's not too old to play?
Not anytime soon. In the prime of his life as clearly the best player in baseball.
He's the best.
Fine. Let him be the best with Texas. If you're the
He
best,
can't take anywhere.
Did you
Texas
did he
anywhere.
not know that before? Did he not know?
You're a harsh man, Mr. Scrooge.
Like the money. Take
We're
the money.
taking a break. When we come back, Racing Pictorials, number 5 on my list of top inventions. We begin inevitably with the hot stove.
Oh, here we go.
There is so much smoke around Alex Rodriguez going to Boston and Manny Ramirez and Nomar Garciaparra leaving Boston that it's difficult to believe it won't happen. So, Mike, for the sake of argument, let's assume finally that these deals go through, and in one fell swoop, A-Rod, Nomar, and Manny Ramirez change teams in their prime and are essentially traded for each other. Have we ever seen a deal of this magnitude before in any of the major sports?
Well, Tony, apparently not. I'm sitting here with a list of all these huge trades going back to 1916 when the Red Sox traded Tris Speaker for Sad Sam Jones and some other stuff, cash, and you can come all the way up.
What are you talking about? Tris Speaker?
Listen to me. You can come all the way up to the 1990s, and you can't.
But superstars
Not
have been traded.
this
Wilt
media,
Chamberlain has
but
been
not
traded.
for other Hall of Famers.
Right. A Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at that
for
point.
other
Wayne
Hall of
Gretzky.
Famers.
Now, there was a trade in hockey once involving Hall of Famers. Phil Esposito in 1975
Yep.
went for Brad Park and Jean Rattel, but they were in their deep 30s at that point. These guys are in their prime. They are the first and second most highly paid guys in the whole sport, and in Nomar Garciaparra, a guy who you think is going to the Hall of Fame. In fact, you think they're all going to the Hall of Fame. This is volcanic. We've never seen this.
No, it's pretty shocking, and I don't necessarily, we understand why, and they have to, I know, get it done, because there's so much water under the bridge with these figures that Nomar seemingly could never be welcomed back to Boston, given what
well, A-Rod could not go back to Texas.
His own teammates, Kevin Millar, said on ESPN that he couldn't imagine A-Rod not being a shortstop.
One of the holdups originally was A-Rod's contract, and the union doesn't want him to renegotiate down. When did Gene Orza become the de facto commissioner of baseball?
Tony,
what meeting did I miss?
You know this union likes to tout itself not only as the strongest union in sports, but the strongest union perhaps in the nation. Do you know they don't want to give back? This is not like football where you can redo your own deal. They don't want that.
You know how you sometimes make fun of Theo Epstein? If this goes through, look what he's done in a year and a half. It's
only
unbelievable.
One thing is satisfactory in Boston.
Right. They have to win the World Series.
The Sox have to win.
It
doesn't matter how much talent they amass.
This gets them to where you think they should.
It gets them to opening day.
It's time to get the latest on the Alex Rodriguez trade situation from Peter Gammons. Peter, right now, where do things stand?
Well, it's no lock. I mean, the players have all been agreed upon, Tony, but there are two factors. One, the two owners haggling over how much of Manny Ramirez's contract the Red Sox should pay. And second, there are a lot of forces in the union and outside the union pushing to kill this thing, that Alex Rodriguez is giving up too much and it would be a bad precedent for the union. So, I mean, I was told by people involved with every one of the players, this thing is not a lock. It's going to go right down to 5 o'clock on tomorrow afternoon.
But, Peter, suppose A-Rod said, I don't care what the union thinks. I don't care what Orza thinks. I'm doing this, so figure out a way to get the deal done.
Well, he can say that. I think in the end, look, the two owners are over the cliff on this thing. It's very hard to go back. A-Rod is way over the cliff. Nomar Garciaparra is not happy at all because he's going to the Chicago White Sox, but he doesn't have any say in this thing. I really believe, Manny Ramirez loves it because not only does he get a $1 million bonus for asking to be traded and then being traded, but with no income taxes in Texas, this is worth $7 or $8 million more to him on the length of the contract. So everyone's happy except, you know, there are precedents with the union that they feel are very important. But I think in the end, they'll all work it out because they've come this far. It's really hard to go back.
All right, Maglio Ordonez suddenly an added starter in this morning. Will that happen?
Oh, I think it will. I mean, if the A-Rod deal goes through, if it's A-Rod for Manny Ramirez and a couple of young pitchers, then you'll get Nomar Garciaparra and Scott Williamson going to the White Sox for Maglio Ordonez. Start with, if you think about the Red Sox picking up Schilling, Folk, Rodriguez, and Ordonez in one off season. I mean, they're all in the primes of their careers except for Schilling, and he's still a great pitcher. Secondly, I'm told that the White Sox are going to keep Garciaparra, which is why Nomar is so upset. I mean, if he were being passed on to L.A., it would be one thing, but I don't think when he turned down the $15 million in spring training, he thought he was going to end up on the south side of Chicago.
Peter, if the Red Sox actually get this done, and I know we're a long way from winning a World Series, but if they won a World Series with this kid general manager, with Theo Epstein, immediately vault into the bird or pantheon of Boston sports.
Yeah, instead of the Big Dig, it would be the Big Theo. I mean, that's the way people in Boston believe, you know?
Yeah.
And plus, they'll name a library after him at Yale.
But, Peter, how will Red Sox fans handle being expected to win the World Series with all the angst they have every other year?
This will actually be more uncomfortable for them. This last year was a great year for them because there were no expectations. But now, if they have all those expectations, the paranoia and the Calvinism will just it will drain people. When they lose 4 in a row in May, every baseball team loses 3 or 4 in a row at one point. Then people will be, how could they spend this money? Blah blah blah. It'll be fascinating to watch. Just as it would really be fascinating to watch if they ever actually won, and then New Englanders wouldn't have something to complain about.
Terry Francona said every manager wants a really good team, but Peter, does he want a team this good because they could run him out of town if he doesn't win the World Series, which I hasten to remind you they haven't won in about 1.5 million years.
I've noticed.
Yeah.
No, I think now. I mean, listen, he managed a really bad team in Philadelphia, so he knows what that's like. Thank you. He'll take these guys. And the other thing is, I mean, when you get an Ordonez and a Rodriguez, I mean, those guys are great players. I mean, I actually think Maglio Ordonez is a far better player than Manny Ramirez. I mean, he is a superstar in his own right. I mean, any manager wants to manage them, and I think there'll be a lot less problems as far as the tension. I think there'll be a lot of tension. Nomar may not want to go to Chicago, but I think there'll be a lot of tension around him if he has to go back to Boston, having turned down the $15 million and having made it very clear to him that the Red Sox would like to get him out of town.
Peter, you can't say Red Sox in this offseason without saying Yankees. What will Steinbrenner do now to react to what the Red Sox appear to be doing if this gets done?
There isn't really very much for him to do. I mean, hey, he's made some very good moves. I mean, Kevin Brown and Javier Vasquez are very, very good pitchers. He's greatly strengthened the bullpen. I just question the way he's gone about certain situations. But now that whole roster is locked in. There's nothing more he can do. Why he didn't wait and go for Vladimir Guerrero instead of Gary Sheffield, I don't think anybody knows. But, it's that whole Tampa thing. I guess, if you come from Tampa, that makes you better than a guy that comes from the Dominican Republic, even though Guerrero is one of the great players of his time.
All right, Peter, help us out. Last question, 1 word or less. What's the #1 invention of all time?
The Les Paul Classic Sunburn guitar.
Oh, there you go. From a music guy, guitar answer. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Right. Peter Gammons, boys and girls, we're taking a break.
Pretty cool. I didn't have that dude.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, George Steinbrenner chides the Red Sox, Tom Brady gets snubbed by the Pro Bowl, and Wilbon tells us whether he would pay to watch models in skimpy lingerie play football.
Yeah, boy.
I think we know the answer to that. We start with the fact that the 5 o'clock deadline is come and gone, and there is still no A-Rod deal. That doesn't mean there won't be an A-Rod deal tonight, tomorrow, next month. And, Mike, it doesn't mean that deadline can't be pushed. Bud Selig and Major League Baseball want this deal to go through. If it doesn't, though, who in your mind is the villain?
2 villains, Tony, for me. The collective bargaining agreement, which explicitly states the player contract cannot be reduced. That's number 1. Number 2, Tom Hicks, who gains about $83 million in relief, but wants even more money from the Boston Red Sox to subsidize his sorry team.
I'm going to take these one at a time. Gene Orz is a villain for me, not the collective bargaining agreement, because he's the face of that agreement. He is now the de facto commissioner. I would say that at this point, what he could do is say to all the parties involved, this one time only, it is not a legal precedent, this one time only, we're going to bend the rules, we're going to make the deal because the player, A-Rod, wants to do it. He wants to reduce his salary. This one time only, you can't come back. As for Tom Hicks, the notion that he is getting rid of A-Rod's contract, which is so onerous, which who signed?
I believe he did.
Tom Hicks signed.
Offered the money. Initiated the whole deal.
He's getting rid of that, and now he wants more money to pay Manny Ramirez. This is a joke. In effect, he wants $30 million from A-Rod to pay Manny Ramirez.
And I understand why the union won't let that happen. Let me say this, Tony.
I understand that.
Orza can't do that. Orza is now not acting in the best interest of anybody. He is enforcing a contract that if I was another union leader or if I was a member of that union, I'd say, no, not for A-Rod. I am not voting for that. Take it to the whole body.
Well, I'll tell you what.
We're not
Curt Schilling has already said that he was in favor of reducing it this time if A-Rod wanted it done. So all players won't be with Orza on this, and I believe that fans will look at Gene Orza as the villain in this particular case if it doesn't go through.
They don't even know who he is. I mean, Orza seems like one of those guys, Tony. It won't matter to him.
I will say something else.
He's a lawyer. He has been true to the letter of this contract.
If it does not go through, it is a terrible black eye for baseball.
Yes, it is.
It makes them look
That's
bad.
what I've been saying.
It does.
Wake
no,
me
it does.
when it's done.
Well,
and it still ain't done. But we both think it'll go through, don't we?
I hope it'll go through. I think it's a good deal.
Tony, if there's a big baseball deal, you know George Steinbrenner has to open his stupid yap. Your boy told the AP yesterday, quote, if I had Nomar, I wouldn't trade him, would not, because of how much he means to that team and that city, close quote. Really? Isn't this the same Steinbrenner who just let Andy Pettitte, a Yankee his entire professional career, walk to Houston after 9 years and 4 World Series titles in New York City? Go ahead, Tony. Defend your moronic boy.
It's not just Andy Pettitte. He let a guy like Tino Martinez go because he thought Jason Giambi was a sexier player, even though Tino was involved in those World Series as well. But what he's doing, he's just jamming Boston. I mean, this is just to get the back page. He's just jamming Boston. The greater question here is this. What? If George Steinbrenner were offered right now, even up, Alex Rodriguez for Derek Jeter, what would he do?
He wouldn't do it.
Well,
that's the only player in baseball.
Then give him some credit for that.
Give him
some credit
if anybody else said this, if Brian F. Billick said it or somebody, you'd be saying, what a moron, what a dope. George Steinbrenner looks like a fool.
He can't win with you. No matter what he does, he can't win with a statement
this dumb.
We have an update on the A-Rod deal. Bud Selig has reportedly just ended the talks between A-Rod and the Red Sox. We bring in Tim Kurkjian. Is the deal dead?
No, it was a major setback, but it's not dead, and it's not dead for this reason. Both of these teams need to make this trade. The Rangers need to move A-Rod in order to get some money in that organization to go out and get some pitching. The Red Sox need to make this deal because they have tantalized their fans with the idea of getting A-Rod and Magglio Ordonez on their team. Plus, they've got the whole Nomar situation. How do we bring him back? So both teams are still going to work on this. Is the restructuring in place? Absolutely not. And that remains a gigantic issue here.
Did Bud Selig do this to basically say the union has too much power? They're holding this deal up. Does this put squarely any villainy in this on Gene Orza and the Players Union?
Of course, some people are going to call Gene Orza the villain in this, but he looked at what the Red Sox gave him, and that is cut $30 million out of A-Rod's contract in exchange for free agency in 2005. Well, why would A-Rod want to be a free agent in 2005? He could never get a better deal.
He's already got the best contract.
Absolutely. So Gene Orza looks at this, and it says right in the basic agreement, you cannot reduce an existing contract unless there is something back in return. And this was not even close, according to Gene Orza. So he's a lawyer going by the letter.
Couldn't he at this point, knowing, as we all know, Major League Baseball wants this to happen, everybody wants it to happen, even Gene Orza wants it to happen, couldn't he have said this one time only, it's not a precedent for anything in the future, we're going to walk around the rule this one time to make this deal happen for the good of baseball, but don't you dare come back to me and ask me to do it a second time?
Well, I think he could do that. But
wouldn't it open the floodgates? I'd be there trying to renegotiate and get mine redone the next day.
That is
you did that yesterday.
Oh, what did I?
That is absolutely against everything that Gene Orza and the union is about, is going against principle. And it would open the floodgates for other things. There's no way they could just say, all right, just this deal and no other. That's not how they operate.
All right, Tim, what about Texas? Why couldn't they have just said, look, we're getting $83 million of relief swapping these two deals. We'll take our $83 million, help revamp the team as much as we can, and walk away. Why do they even get more greedy than that?
Well, they shouldn't be any more greedy than that, because in the end, by moving A-Rod, they can do a lot of things. But they want even more than that because they feel like they have the Red Sox over a barrel to some degree, in that they are only getting Manny Ramirez back for the best player in baseball. Therefore, they should get more than just Manny Ramirez back in that deal. They also think the Red Sox need to make this trade more than the Rangers need to make this trade, because the Red Sox have the Nomar situation to deal with. They can't bring Nomar back, according to the Rangers.
They're asking to be subsidized by Boston for their own mistakes.
That's exactly why the Red Sox are not willing to give them the money that they're looking for. The Red Sox are saying, we're taking on the largest salary, the largest contract in the history of sports. We are giving you 125 RBIs a year, and yet you want us to take on that contract and give you $5 million a year, which means we'll be paying $30 million a year for Alex Rodriguez.
And yet A-Rod, who would have stood to lose $30 million till his deal was scotched just now, was willing to do it. Was willing to give up the money to pay Manning.
This shows you how much A-Rod wants this deal to be done. He wants to go to the Red Sox with a chance to win. If this doesn't go through, he's going back to Texas, and he's going to be a part of a plan that he really doesn't want to be a part of.
Let's stay right there for a second, Tim. How can A-Rod go back into that locker room? How can Nomar go back to Boston when he is watching television? He's seen some of his own Red Sox teammates say, I'd rather have A-Rod. How does this work?
It's going to be very, very difficult. Now, these are pros. They're great players. They're hard workers. They'll go out and do their best, all right? But you walk into that clubhouse, if you're Nomar, and you've already seen what some of your teammates have basically said, bring A-Rod on. And some of the guys in Texas have basically said, we'll be better without A-Rod because we can do more things. That's going to be a very tricky situation for both those teams to bring superstars back to the team.
This has generated, the whole Hot Stove League has generated so much, but this has been the focal point of it. A-Rod going, Nomar going, Manny going. Do you, in your heart of hearts, still think this will happen, or do you believe, as we sit here, that it's done?
I don't think it's done, again, because both teams need it to happen so badly. But if it is not restructured properly, Gene Orza will not let this go through. And if he goes down as a villain, he doesn't care. I've known him for 20 years. You can hate him. He is going to do his job, and it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about him. He likes people to yell at him. He loves to argue with people, and if people hate him, he doesn't care. He's doing what he believes is the right thing.
If he likes that, he should be on this show. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
We're taking a break. When we come back, we start perhaps for the last time, or until the trade is actually made, with the A-Rod trade. There was no white smoke yesterday. Whatever fire was building was put out when Bud Selig announced that the Red Sox had lost the opportunity to negotiate directly with Alex Rodriguez. The deal may be dead. It's at least off for a while. Now, Wilbon, we know that baseball wants this trade to be made. Do you think it will actually happen?
Depends on how specific you want to get with the words "this trade." I believe that A-Rod will somehow wind up in Boston. I think A-Rod will wind up somewhere else, and I guess the options are real limited. Okay,
$252 million
I'm going to
deal
stay
total.
with Boston. Manny, I guess, has to go. You can't have A-Rod and Manny considering their salaries. I guess something will happen. But Tony, I am now secretly hoping nothing happens.
It has to happen. I'm going to tell you why. The people in Boston have been tantalized with this trade. They haven't won a World Series almost as long as the people in Chicago who are Cubs fans. If this isn't made, this current administration, which looks so great in the 1 year that it's been there, will look like failures. They can't afford that. So if it comes down to money, Boston is going to have to pay the money, take on A-Rod, and if they have to pay money to Manny, they're going to have to do
Boston, your boy Larry Lucchino, they're the ones saying the deal is off.
Right.
Texas didn't say that.
That's what they're saying now. There's a long way until there's a long way till opening day. I just think they have made a commitment. They're like John Kerry in the sense you can't lose any primaries. These guys in Boston can't be perceived as losers on any level. They've come too far too fast.
Tony, they came 1 game, 5 outs from the World Series.
And they got to go
what's
further.
To say they couldn't take the same team they had and go further next year?
Because it's all about beating the Yankees, perceived and actually, and they need to do this.
The World Series in Boston,
they need,
and the Yankees won't matter.
They're going to have to beat the Yankees.
The Yankees are slip slide.
Oh, Wilbon, I know the contempt you hold in your heart for Bartman.
Yeah, baby.
The Bartman ball was auctioned off yesterday for $106,600. It was bought by one of the managing partners of the late Harry Carey's restaurant in Chicago. The plan is to destroy the ball and therein lift this curse. But let me ask you something. Are you part of this nefarious cabal? And what would you do with the ball?
I told you where I'm going this weekend, didn't I?
To Chicago.
You're
going to be there to
I think like thousands of Chicagoans and Cub fans, I'm going to send a check to Grant Porter. Now, you don't recognize that name, but Grant Porter he's Harry Carey's guy. Okay, and by the way, Harry Carey's widow, Dutchie, is also involved in the purchase of this ball to destroy the ball. How cool is that?
Okay, you know why I wouldn't destroy the ball?
I'm giving him a check.
I think the ball has historic value.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does. I think when the Cubs win the World Series, you hold up this ball and you say, there, that's part of the old past. We don't need this anymore.
Are they going to also burn the GOAT when they hold up the ball?
I would hope so.
You said when they win the World Series?
I think they will.
And how many generations of my people have been waiting for that in Chicago? How many?
Since '08, right?
'08.
It's almost 100 years.
You're taking something. I want the ball burned now. Let me ask you a question. Burn it.
Where's Bartman? Is he in a spider hole? Where's Bartman? Has he not been seen?
Well, I wonder if Christmas is going to be the forgiving season for Chicago.
Would you forgive him? We're taking a break. When we come back,
mail time.
I don't get it right that off.
Bragging. Roger Clemens signed to play for the Houston Astros next season. Should he ever return to return the Hummer that George Steinbrenner gave him as a retirement gift?
Steinbrenner doesn't need a Hummer, does he?
I don't know.
He gave it to him for his past services, not for what he was going to do. Here's the important thing.
What?
Roger Clemens never had any intention, I don't believe, of retiring, nor should he. He, by the way, never officially retired. He filed for free agency.
So why did he bother saying it? What was the point?
I guess it sounds
he could have just
wanted
said,
to
I'm
leave the
free
Yankees.
now. I'm going to Texas.
He wanted to leave the Yankees. This is a good thing. He won 17 games
Not
last
a good thing
year.
if you're a Cub fan.
Okay,
Not
well,
a good thing for me.
He's one of the 10 best pitchers still in baseball, and I'm glad he's continuing to pitch.
I'm not. Let him pitch in New York.
You always bring everything back to the Cubs.
Yes.
Don't you want to see
You
him pitch?
brought it back to New York.
No, I didn't. Don't you
He
want
didn't need to come back
Don't
to
you
New
want to
York.
see him pitch?
He has a lot left. He has a lot left
What
in him.
team is going to buzz him the first time up in the National League? Which team?
I
huh?
hope the Cubs.
Which time?
But it won't be.
You and the Cubs.
Because they're soft.
It really is.
They won't do it. The
disgusting.
Cardinals will buzz them.
While people like Tony obsess over the Red Sox and the Yankees, how about little DAP? There's that word again for the Angels. By landing Vladimir Guerrero, they're the most improved team in the league, and they didn't even need a whiz kid Tiger beat pinup like Theo Epstein to make it happen.
That's right. You know, you went crazy over the hot stove league as long as
Yes.
it pertains.
No.
Okay.
No, I
So
liked it when Derek Lee went to the Cubs.
But the Angels may be the most improved team in baseball in the hot stove.
And you say
the
this because?
Cubs are in there, okay?
Yeah.
There are other teams, and
But
nobody
let's-
cared about them. We spent all our time on this show talking about a trade that never
What do you
happened.
make of this signing? Vladimir Guerrero, everybody thought was locked up for the Orioles. But now it turns out, you know, there's a new owner with the Angels, and he is Mexican. And he has signed 3 people at least who speak Spanish. You think there's a coincidence in that? I don't.
Wait a minute,
I
Tony.
don't.
Half the guys in the major league speak Spanish.
I think it
Doesn't mean
may
they're gonna
help
sign
this
all
owner.
of
I think
them.
it may help the
It's
owner.
gonna help. This guy's 28 years old and is a future Hall of Famer.
Bartolo
That's what's
Colon,
gonna
that
help
helps him too. The reverberations of Roger Clemens going to the Astros are being felt in New York City. Yes, my hometown. Wilbon, it is predictable that the New York Post would call Clemens a traitor, but let me ask you something. Do you see nothing more than coincidence that Andy Pettitte and Roger Clemens share the same agents and now will share the same clubhouse again, but this time in Houston? I know you hate Yankee fans, but don't you think Yankee fans have something to be upset about here?
No. Yankee fans should shut up. Because their owner, your boy, George Steinbrenner, does this all the time. Didn't another one of your boys, David Wells, have a handshake agreement with whoever was running the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Blanchard.
And then who came in and paid more money to get him to leave that situation? The Yankees do this all the time. They look at a situation where they can take advantage of a guy and a team with money,
So you
and
think,
they buy
so
him
you
out
think
from
it's
under the other
poetry
team.
and it's okay?
It's fine.
Right, okay.
By the way, if they did do that, if Roger Clemens did say to Andy Pettitte, by the way, you know what? If you come back, maybe I'll come back. What's wrong with that?
No, I never thought he was going
I
to
know
quit.
you didn't.
Because
but
he
all this
filed for free
whining
agency.
coming out of New
I'm
York.
I'm not
and
sure
from
that's
the
what-
New York Post.
Richard
tired of
Justice
crap.
said a very interesting thing today, our PTI Southwest
What did he
bureau
say?
chief. He said that Clemens and Pettitte were disturbed with the way that George Steinbrenner fawned over David Wells.
Well-
and basically said, how come you do it for him and not for us?
So can't you understand that?
I can.
Especially if you're
But
petty.
I can also understand Yankee fans being upset.
Too
We're
long.
taking a break.
Shut up,
When we
Yankee
come
fans.
back,
Tony,
yes,
you're Greg Maddux.
yes I am.
The Chicago Cubs have made you a 2-year offer.
I love the Cubs.
Are you going to let bygones be bygones and rejoin the Northsiders?
No, and I'm going to tell you why. I used to like the Cubs a lot. Now I'm sick of the Cubs. I'm sick of Bartman. I'm sick of the fact that Pryor and Wood couldn't win a game in the playoffs when they had to. I'm sick of Dusty Baker. I'm sick of Sammy Sosa and his cork bat. Most of all, I'm sick of Michael Wilbon on PTI. Every time anybody else makes a signing, he relates it to the Cubs. He goes into an incomprehensible rant about how this will affect the Cubs. See, I played for the Cubs and liked the Cubs. I wouldn't go back. The Cubs can rot in hell because of Michael Wilbon.
Let me ask you something.
What?
Do you notice when Tony always says the hot stove, the hot stove, the hot
Yeah,
stove,
hot
and he
stove.
gives 2 lines so you're going to the Cubs? Because it's not the Sox or the Yankees. Have you noticed that, Greg?
You see, you
Have you
can't,
noticed that?
you can't get out of this. You're incomprehensible about the Cubs. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, more A-Rod drama. Michelle Wee considers taking on the men again, and the Fox network makes the best decision in the history of television programming, Man vs. Beast 2.
Stop already.
We begin today with the wisdom of Yogi Berra, who once said it's deja vu all over again. And Wilbon, it's deja vu all over again when it comes to the A-Rod trade. A Major League Baseball official today told Dan Patrick that trade talks between the Boston Red Sox and the Texas Rangers were on again. But within the last hour, officials from both the Rangers and the Red Sox have flatly denied it, calling the report baseless and the deal dead. Wilbon, do you really believe the A-Rod deal is dead?
I don't know if I believe it is, but you know my position. I'm hoping it's dead. Actually, no. I hope it plays on and on and on because baseball just gets embarrassed by this on-again, off-again soap opera with these two teams, Tony. I don't know. What do you believe?
I don't know. Well, I don't know if this is a hoax, but there apparently was an internet hoax earlier in the day on what appeared to be MajorLeagueBaseball.com. There was a replica of an A-Rod number 3 jersey for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
That was apparently a hoax. I think this is a trade that will eventually happen because you have too many unhappy people going back to ball clubs that they thought they were gone from. But if Theo Epstein says it's baseless, if the Rangers say it's dead, then at the moment maybe it is.
Let me give you a scenario.
No.
All these guys are saying it's dead because last time, under the hot media spotlight, they could not get it done. So maybe now they want to shoo everybody away. They purposely lie and say it's dead to get people off of it, and under darkness, they can finally get the deal done. Maybe that's what they think.
I don't know that the guys up front can lie like that for attribution. I think that comes back to bite you. But I still believe that baseball is served and all these teams are served by making this deal, and we have something to talk about for the rest of the time.
I'd like to talk about anything else but that. I'm tired of it.
But next, Punch Rodriguez joining the Tigers. I will be good on this again. No, you're the bad cop.
I'm the bad cop. I'm staying the
bad cop.
He's a
Hall of Famer. He's the best player the Tigers have had in years. He will immediately make Mike Maroth. He will kick him down for over 20 losses to like 10 or 12. Why shouldn't he go to Detroit?
You're a nut because they lost 225 games the last 2 years. You know, to quote Rick Pitino or paraphrase Rick Pitino, Mickey Lolich and Denny McClain, they're not walking through that door. Gates Brown, Willie Horton, Ron LaFleur, they're not walking through that door. The Detroit Tigers stink.
Yeah.
Why should he go there?
Because he's got a World Series ring and he's a Hall of Fame guy with a resume.
He is a Hall of Famer.
He goes out there and those pitchers get better automatically. They will improve 15 to 20 games just by having
and they'll still let them use only 100 instead of 119.
That's fine. They'll get better. What's next? You ready for the emails, Wilbon?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Let me get the first one. Okay. Now that the Rangers have named A-Rod their team captain, are you finally willing to abandon your annoying position that he will still be traded to the Red Sox?
I believe this one is addressed specifically to you, considering, you know, I'm happy the trade's not going to take place. I think I told you a couple of weeks ago I didn't think the trade was going to take place, but you go ahead and weigh in, Mr. Trade.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, just because they made him the captain doesn't change the fact that he wants out of Texas. And just because the Red Sox make nice to Nomar doesn't change the fact that he'll never trust the Red Sox again. There are people that were on the move, and I think that trade should be made.
It's not going to be made, and you know it. Now you're just arguing to hold your position.
No.
The trade's not going to be made, and he wouldn't have accepted the captaincy if he thought, okay, I need to get out now.
Since when, by the way, is the captaincy in that sport a big deal? Hockey's one thing. What's the big deal there?
Big deal.
I don't think it's any sort of a big deal whatsoever. Wilbon, the Cleveland Indians have a pitching prospect, Kazuhito Tadano, who called a press conference yesterday to talk about his appearance in a gay porn video 3 years ago in Japan and to acknowledge the shame it has brought him and his family. Clearly, the Indians are trying to defuse this potential issue before Tadano pitches in the majors here, and they think he will. So, Wilbon, how will this work with the fans and Tadano's potential teammates in Cleveland?
Tony, I would like to think, I'd like to expect the best of people in these sorts of situations, but given the climate of locker rooms, sometimes we've heard players come out and say who they don't want to be playing with based on what they perceive as a sexual preference. We've heard that kind of stuff before, and it's really bothersome. Also, fans. We live in a world in which sports radio often sort of dictates and defines and frames the discussions. I want to expect the best of people and let this man's personal life be whatever he wants, but I don't know that I won't expect the worst of him down the road.
He was already drummed out of Japan. He was such a good prospect, he was supposed to go in the first round in the Japanese baseball draft, and the commissioner of that league said, you can't draft him. I mean, there are problems right in front of him. Cleveland knows that. That's why Cleveland is doing this now.
We're not going to have somebody saying you cannot have him. We're not going to have that in the United States of America, thankfully.
No, Cleveland wants him, and he's going to pitch, and maybe he'll make the majors. But it's one thing to talk about what someone does in the abstract. But you know that this gay porn video is going to come out.
Oh, absolutely.
You know his teammates are going to see it, and you've spent enough time in locker rooms to know that they're going to say, whoa, what have we got here?
I mean, he is going to hear it every day in that locker room,
yes.
even if
he proves himself to be a great pitcher.
So
even then,
it's going to take courage by him to confront that and keep pitching, and we hope he'll have a good reception by teammates and fans.
Encouraged by a couple of teammates to sort of stand there with him and say, okay, this is enough.
Put their arms around him and say, you're with me. Exactly.
Tony, with the Red Sox-Rangers trade dead, that's right, dead, our colleague George Vesey writes in today's New York Times that your boy George Steinbrenner should make a deal for Alex Rodriguez. That's right. Vesey says with third baseman Aaron Boone likely out for the season and no prize free agents left, A-Rod could play third base right next to his pal Derek Jeter in the Bronx. Tony, what do you think of that deal?
Wasn't this your point all along? Didn't you always say don't trade him to the Red Sox, that the Yankees ought to try and get him? So I assume you like the idea right now.
You know, I'm not emotionally attached to it. I just thought it made sense that Steinbrenner is willing to take on such payroll.
By the way, Wilbon, going with your Friday casuals, huh?
Absolutely.
We start with the burgeoning steroid scandal from the Balco lab in California that in the wake of President Bush's call to rid sports of steroids has become not just a major sports story, but a major news story. It is now being reported that the grand jury has subpoenaed the names of all the Major League Baseball players who tested positive for steroids in the most recent drug test. Players took that test thinking it was confidential. Mike, is it good for baseball if the names of the cheaters are revealed?
No, because the players and executives entered into a good faith agreement that those results will be kept confidential. You and I work in a business and have for 25 and 35 years respectively, in which we have to protect sources and information all the time based on an agreement that was made when those conversations were held, actually before they were held. So no, you cannot then go by. We know
but in other
sports, gone to jail
in other
before
sports,
giving up those sources.
the names of the cheaters are routinely revealed. In
no,
other
they're
sports.
not. They're not revealed. Media outlets may find out who they are and report them, but no, not in the other sports. In the NFL and the NBA, confidentiality is one of the pillars of those agreements.
But you do know about people who fail drug tests in the NFL routinely. You do know about Olympians who do it routinely. My problem here is, what does the government want to get involved in? Does the government want to get involved in correcting things in sports of a cheating nature? I think sports can police themselves in that way. If they want to get involved with steroids because it's a danger to your health, that's a different thing. I think that's okay. I do. But if they're just going to police the sport, I don't think you need Big Brother looking at baseball in that way.
I understand the self-policing theory, Tony, and I'm with you on that. But I'm also just with the confidentiality. These are rules, and in some cases,
but don't you want to know? Doesn't everybody want to know if Barry Bonds is clean or not clean?
Of course, everybody wants to know, but that doesn't mean that baseball should make that public, and it doesn't mean the government should force baseball to make it public. Not in my opinion.
Wilbon, I hate to do this to you, but we begin today with the Sox and the Yankees. The deal is done. A-Rod has left Texas, but not for Boston, for New York, where he becomes a starter on a team with Derek Jeter, Kenny Lofton, Gary Sheffield, and Jason Giambi, one of the most star-studded teams in baseball history and the most pricey. The Yankees are the most dominant franchise in baseball history, and with A-Rod, they have a chance to continue that dominance. Do you now find the Yankees hateable or admirable?
Both, Tony, both. And I think that's the greatness of the Yankees. I mean, you know, here I am, a Chicagoan, and I'm going to watch the Yankees even more. I mean, you know, and to tell you the truth, I mean, you secretly hope they win so they can be around and be the most compelling story as you get to the postseason. And then sometimes, you know, they'll get shut down and you'll get some joy out of that. But as much joy as I get out of popping George Steinbrenner on our show, I love seeing the Yankees strong. I think when the Yankees are strong, that's great for baseball.
Seems like a 180 from you. It seems like a 180 from you. I find the most interesting thing about this is that Alex Rodriguez voluntarily said, I will play third base. Now, he's a better shortstop defensively than Derek Jeter, but this is Derek Jeter's team. I'm just wondering at what point somebody suggests to Jeter, maybe you ought to move to second, or maybe you ought to move to third, or maybe we'll do X, Y, and Z. I think A-Rod took the high road in this.
He should take the high road. He's coming in. It's another guy's team. And I don't see why you're so shocked about this part of it. I've been saying, and we say we can check the tape, that I thought all along A-Rod would go to the Yankees, not the Sox.
I know you said that, but you also said that you thought the deal was dead. And you said, wait when it happens. Now it's happened. Not only has it happened, but as it turns out, Alex Rodriguez will cost the Yankees less than Derek Jeter costs them.
But that wasn't the same deal. That's not the same deal. It's a whole new deal. It's not the same deal. You know, he didn't wind up in Boston. And by the way, there's one big loser in this. And I'm not talking about the Rangers. I'm talking about the Sox.
For weeks and weeks, A-Rod was supposed to go to the Sox. And Tony, you for one could just feel the curse of the Bambino lifting, couldn't you?
Yes.
All right? Well, now even worse than the Red Sox not getting A-Rod is getting beat by George Steinbrenner again. Steinbrenner is J.R. Ewing. The Sox are Cliff Barnes.
How about an old reference, huh?
Yeah,
About 20-year-old reference.
I'm pretty old too, Tony. Now, I know Steinbrenner wins a lot of battles. Even so, didn't the Red Sox, specifically your boys John Henry and Larry Lucchino, get beat on this one like a couple of chumps?
Yeah, they did. The Red Sox tried to knock the Yankees out on the first turn. They bring in Schilling, they bring in Folk, but the pièce de résistance for them is going to be A-Rod. Now, they don't get him, the Yankees do. The Red Sox did not walk the walk. Ultimately, it came down to $16 million that they were unwilling to pay to get A-Rod, and they bought the team for $660. They were penny wise and pound foolish. Now the Yankees have him, but you know, the Yankees never even considered him until Aaron Bleepin Boone went out from that basketball game, so he's now beaten the Red Sox twice.
Yeah, well, no, the Red Sox, that's true, Tony, but the Red Sox beat themselves. I mean, let's face it, you mentioned penny wise and dollar foolish. I can't believe what they've done here for $16 million.
Right.
They didn't get it done.
No.
And worse yet, they lost to their hated rival. They let a guy go to the evil empire, and they look pretty dumb right now.
I have no sympathy for them, and the fact of the matter is that the Red Sox may yet win it, but now momentum has shifted to the Yankees.
Big time.
We get out of baseball.
Low monthly price.
We're getting back into the A-Rod trade with PTI Baseball Authority, Richard Justice of the Houston Chronicle. And Richie, this deal was supposed to be dead, at least with the Red Sox. How did it come about that the Yankees got involved?
Came about because Brian Cashman, the Yankees general manager, is probably as thorough at his job as anybody in the industry. He doesn't leave any stone unturned in making the dozens of phone calls. You could call a general manager. You could call 3 baseball general managers today. 2 of them will probably tell you they talked to Brian Cashman in the last 72 hours. And in the course of making phone calls and looking at all the options, which, as you know, George Steinbrenner wants all the options explored. One of them was Alex Rodriguez, and a couple of things had to happen. He had to be willing to change positions, waive his no-trade clause, and the changing positions, as it turned out, came to be the big thing, and George Steinbrenner was willing to do the money. The stunning thing is that financially, the deal's almost a rub. You take Drew Henson's salary off there, Aaron Boone's salary off there, Alfonso Soriano's salary off there. It's about even. So that's how it came about. Brian Cashman did his work. That's the reason that when he finally gets fired by George Steinbrenner, he'll probably have 8 job offers the next day.
Steinbrenner wasn't originally going to go after A-Rod. Do you think he did it because the Red Sox did it originally?
I'm sure that put the idea in his mind. You know, they went back and forth with Curt Schilling, and every move one team makes, the other team looks at. I mean, I'm not even sure George Steinbrenner wanted Jose Contreras last year until he figured out that he was hot on the Red Sox screen, and it goes from there. So that probably was the thing that spurred it, that made him want him.
Richard, let's turn this to the Red Sox for a second. Isn't this just a crushing psychological blow, given that they thought they had A-Rod?
Well, they've had crushing psychological blows there before. To be done in twice by Aaron Boone in 6 months. Aaron Boone hits the home run that beats him in the ALCS, and then he gets hurt and prompts him to start looking for a third baseman, and this is what they come up with. Yeah, on Saturday it was a crushing blow. I think by today they try to step back and say, now wait a minute, we still got to go play the games. But it contributes to the angst and the theater of being a Red Sox fan. It's all part of a great storyline.
I know it can contribute to some more angst, and that's if the Yankees are a better team. Which one going into spring training do you see as the best team of those two, Richie?
Well, I think the Yankees were a better team anyway. I mean, if John Lieber is healthy and Kevin Brown's healthy, and you're going to say, well, if. Well, yeah, but Pedro Martinez is an if, Curt Schilling's an if, and they've got to make Nomar Garcia-Parra feel wanted again, and Manny Ramirez. But, I mean, the Yankees, you look at the last season that Lieber and Javier Vasquez and Kevin Brown were all healthy. They had better numbers than Clemens, Pettitte, and Wells, the 3 guys they lost. And the Yankees strengthened their bullpen. The Yankees are a really good team, and they were a really good team before this, but I think they're a better team right now.
Is it possible Derek Jeter could be on the move in terms of where he plays in that infield, or is that years away from happening?
I think it's years away from happening. I think Derek Jeter's the Yankees shortstop and the team captain as long as he wants to be there. He's never missed the playoffs. He's got 4 rings. He's 6 pennants. Derek Jeter has earned the right to play there, and I believe Alex Rodriguez, and I don't know him, I know him a little bit, would understand that. Derek Jeter belongs right there at shortstop.
How do other teams feel about this, Richie? I mean, everybody bumps up against the luxury tax. Only the Yankees seem willing to go over. It seems the Yankees want to win more than the other teams. Are other teams going to whine and moan that the Yankees just got richer?
You know, that's funny. The reaction has gone across the rainbow. Some have been disgusted by it. Some GMs that I talked to that have overspent themselves say, well, they shouldn't be doing this. But I think generally people in the game that take a broad view of it say the Yankees ought to be good, and we like it when the Yankees get headline players. Maybe we're amused by it or disgusted by it, but I think they all know that it's good for the game when the Yankees are good, and when the Yankees have, the more marquee players the Yankees have, the more it helps everyone. Not everyone wants to hear that. Some would disagree with that, but they are the Yankees.
By the way, I mean, the Yankees spend a lot of money and win. A lot of other teams spend a lot of money and don't get a sniff of the playoffs.
That's absolutely right. And if you look at the guys, they attack their problems, they figure out their weakness, and they attack them really aggressively. Now, all these moves are George Steinbrenner's moves. They are not a homegrown team anymore. They are far different than the 97, 98, 99 Yankees that won. And Joe Torre's got Joe Torre's going to have to prove again why he's the best manager in the game, because he's got all these parts from other places, and you have to make it feel like a team. But you're right. They spend smart money.
Thank you, Richard. With that, we're going to have to wrap it up. Richard Justice, boys and girls, we're taking a break. When we come back, of course, we start with Alex Rodriguez being introduced to the New York media. Wilbon, it was standing room only at Yankee Stadium because New York has always been a baseball town, and getting Alex Rodriguez is a giant step for the Yankees. So much so that I will propose this wager to you. I'll take the Yankees to win the World Series. I will give you the field. Will you take the bet?
Of course I will. The last 3 World Series winners weren't the Yankees.
Right.
Arizona, Anaheim, Florida.
Right.
Here's what the Yankees had when they won 6 of 8 World Series. They had Clemens in 4 of them, Pettitte in all 6 of them, Wells in 3 of them, and El Duque in 4. Pitching, my man, not hitting. Pitching wins in baseball.
They didn't win 6 of 8 World Series, but they got into 6 of 8 World Series. They get into the World Series. Other teams don't get anywhere close to World Series, spend a lot of money. Los Angeles Dodgers, Baltimore Orioles at one point don't get anywhere close to it. You don't like the Yankees pitching? Okay, Kevin Brown has been a great playoff pitcher, has he not? Mike Mussina's been a very good playoff pitcher, has he not?
He hasn't been the #1 guy.
Javier Vasquez looks like a pretty good guy.
We don't know what Javier Vasquez is.
And when they get your boy, Greg Maddux, within the next week, and by the way, there's a pitcher you left out. The hammer of God, Mariano Rivera. Jeter's been around forever.
Yep.
Bernie Williams forever. Posada almost forever. Mariano forever.
I'm not worried
they got
about
the greatest
the 8th
lineup
and the 9th.
ever.
And they got good setup guys, by the way, with Quantrill, and they added
greatest
Gordon.
Lineup ever.
Tony. No, it's not the greatest lineup ever.
Yes,
I'll take the big red machine. You can take a lineup on paper.
Again,
now,
you would be nuts.
now.
Yep.
I'm not worried about them in the 8th and 9th, or even the 7th.
What are you worried about?
I'm worried about how they get through the 6 innings. Starting pitching. No left-hander.
I just gave you the starting pitching, and they're going to score 7 to 9 runs a game.
And
Thank you.
They may very well do that and give up 7 or 8 a game. Last night, WABC television reported that Greg Maddux will be the next new future Hall of Fame Yankee. Makes sense. The Yanks need pitching. Maddux has already won 289 games, and you know how Steinbrenner likes collecting 300-game winners. But Maddux has already turned down the Giants, and he hasn't yet, Tony, accepted the Cubs' offer of 2 years for $15 million. Brian Cashman says there is no offer. And Maddux has turned down the Yankees before. So, where's he going to wind up?
That's a rhetorical question, isn't it? Where do you think, Mr. Cub fan, he's going to end up?
Yankee Stadium.
That's right. He's going to end up there because he can win some World Series there, because it's a great way to top off his career. Clemens was in the same position when he went to the Yankees, had a wonderful time with the Yankees.
Position. I think he will wind up with the Yankees, but here's the thing about
the
Maddux.
Yankees always get what they want.
Maddux doesn't. Well, they didn't. No, they haven't, because they wanted Maddux when he was a free agent before in his prime. He didn't go there.
They're going to get him now.
He doesn't want to be in the AL. He doesn't want to pitch to a lineup that includes loaded DH situations.
Okay.
He likes being in the National League.
Let me repeat the question.
He can wind up with the Dodgers.
Where do you think he's going to wind up?
The Yankees.
Thank you. Major League Baseball top banana Bob Dupay has confirmed that Larry Lucchino, the president of the Red Sox, had lobbied all weekend long to get Bud Selig to void the A-Rod deal to the Yankees. Lucchino's position was that Bud Selig could invoke the best interests of baseball clause and keep A-Rod out of New York. Wilbon, how would you characterize Larry Lucchino's lobbying efforts?
Like a little pooch whining in the night, okay? Was it Deacon Jones or Alex Karras who said, put a skirt on him? All right, I don't want to hear from this guy, because he was leading 2 sets to none.
40 love, and it was his serve, and he had the thing on his racket, and he got cute, okay? He got cute. He wanted all the chips. He didn't want to give up anything to this Tom Hicks. $16 million is all that separated this deal.
They talked the talk. They did not walk the walk. He is a great lawyer. This is why people hate lawyers, because when the lawyers lose, they become obstructionists.
Yeah.
I mean, he wanted to knock the Yankees out, could not get it done. Now he says, oh, it's unfair. It's unfair. The Yankees shouldn't be allowed to have A-Rod. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way.
You know Lucchino a little bit. Can you believe the nerve of him right now?
I believe he's a very smart guy, but in this case, it's not working.
Shut up. Tony Lucchino, though, wasn't the only club executive lobbying your boy Bud to invoke the best interests of the game clause to block the Yankees from getting A-Rod. There are small market clubs out there that simply cannot, under any circumstance, afford the game's greatest players because they can't produce the revenue. Now, Tony, if you were running the Pirates, the Royals, the Brewers, wouldn't you be upset about this? Or would you take solace in the fact that the Marlins, Twins, and A's were in the playoffs last year?
If I was running the Royals or the Brewers, I mean, the Royals are trying to make a move up, and the Pirates, you know, yes, they don't have the money. But I have no real sympathy for that because of the teams you mentioned. Minnesota, they wanted to contract. They've been in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Yeah. Oakland is always in the playoffs. The great thing about the Yankees, I understand they have an advantage for having all this money. They pay the luxury tax. These are the rules for everybody.
They subsidize the other teams.
They spend a lot of money and they win. Again, there are teams that spend a lot of money and they never win. So I understand why and I think small market is a misnomer. It's about money, not market. I understand it.
That's what it's
but the fact of the matter is, you're in the same league. If you can't try to win, get out of the league.
But they can't. I agree with you, but they can't try as hard as Steinbrenner can try because he can simply open the checkbook and do something they can't do.
Okay.
I know you understand that part.
And I do. But again, they spend the money and they spend it wisely and they win.
Yeah.
The Mets spend a lot of money.
Stupidly.
How'd they do?
Stupidly.
Time to head out to Yankee Stadium where we join up with Harold Reynolds, who is on hand for today's press conference. Who should be playing shortstop, A-Rod or Jeter?
Well, I still think Derek should be playing shortstop. You know, this is his team, and I think the one thing, there's no doubt Alex Rodriguez is a tremendous shortstop. He's put up the numbers to speak so. He's won Gold Gloves, MVPs, everything else. But Derek Jeter's won 4 rings. This is his club. He assumes the responsibilities. He runs the team. And I think to come in and kick him off to the side just would not have been right. And I think Alex understands that as well as anybody.
Harold, now that A-Rod is a Yankee, who do you think will be the most valuable players of that team, A-Rod or Derek Jeter?
Well, obviously, both of them. It's going to be interesting as the summer goes on. I say both because the shortstop always is going to be the guy that is going to be in the limelight for defense. But offensively, Alex Rodriguez is probably going to hit third in this lineup. He's going to drive in 50. He might be the first guy to hit 30, 40 home runs as a right-handed batter since I don't know when for the Yankees. And I still think he's going to drive in 130 runs. So there's going to be so many stars, it's too early to even say who might be the MVP on this club.
So many stars, so many playing for the Yankees. If you were playing today, let's say you were in Kansas City or Pittsburgh, would you think this move is bad for baseball?
I don't know if I think it was bad for baseball. I know I'd be chapped. You know, I mean, it just seems like it's not fair. They're stacking all the deck to one club. And with the collective bargain agreement that's in place right now, you're going to see this because other owners don't want to spend the money on the luxury tax. George Steinbrenner is doing everything within the legal limits to build a club, and he's doing that. If he's going to pay $150 million, what's the difference between that and $200 million if you're going to be taxed on it anyway? And that's kind of the approach he's gone at. I think the other thing, too, is down the road, though, I think the Texas Rangers took a wrong and made it a right. You know, John Hart took a contract that was unmovable and was able to move it. And now I know they're paying $67 million for this deal. But Alex Rodriguez's contract now to the rest of the clubs in baseball is $16 million. Who's to say in 2 years from now when he's 30 years old, he doesn't say, you know what, it's been fun playing third base, but I want to play shortstop. Now he's tradable at $16 million. He wasn't at 25.
I don't want to go down the road and project that Alex Rodriguez is going to be traded at any point. Let's just look at this lineup that the Yankees put on the field. In all of your life, have you seen a lineup better than this one?
No. I think the things that this lineup is capable of doing, you look at Sheffield. I just skip all that. You go to Jorge Posada. He might be hitting 8th in this lineup. That, to me, just says it all right there. That guy is a switch-hitting catcher that's going to hit you 25, 30 home runs and drive in 100 runs, and he might be hitting 8.
Harold,
that's a heck of a lineup.
But are there enough? Don't you need at least 2 guys who are just trying to make contact and move runners along? And I know that's not the way the Yankees prefer to play with this kind of lineup, but don't you need that? And I'm thinking about the big red machine. I mean, my God, that was some lineup.
Yeah, but Michael, you still do. I mean, Kenny Lofton is a guy going to be at the top of the order. Derek Jeter, he's always hit second. He's always moved men over. And then you got whoever's going to play second base, whether it's Enrique Wilson or Miguel Cairo or whoever else they might bring in. That's going to be the other guy that manufactures. I mean, they're going to still manufacture. The difference is this lineup's going to have some thunder to go along with that manufacturing.
Joe Torre is allegedly in his last year, Harold. With this lineup, is it his easiest year, or will it potentially be his hardest because everyone will be looking every time they lose? God forbid they lose 2 in a row at any point during the season.
Well, his big challenge is pitching. You know, I mean, they're going to hit, and somebody's going to step up and carry the lineup. I think that's going to take care of itself. But I think Joe's biggest challenge is going to be his pitching staff, and they've got a lot of ifs. If Kevin Brown's healthy, if Vasquez adjusts to New York, you know, if. And that's very tough to go into and expect top performances. If those guys perform like they're capable of, then I think it's going to be fine.
At this moment, and this is the get-out question, at this moment, do you take the Yankees as the favorite in all of baseball to win the World Series?
You know what? I still don't pick them in the East. I still think Schilling, Lowell, Pedro, and Wakefield is going to be a tough combination to beat. It is going to be a heck of a run between Boston and New York. So I'm not hands down saying the Yankees are going to win this thing. I still think Boston's got a great shot.
You just became Ben Affleck's favorite announcer. Thank you, Harold.
Thanks, Harold.
Harold Reynolds, boys and girls, we're taking a break. When we come back, but I'm right about
Standing
this. What's
ovation.
next?
Toss-up, worse for Ben Affleck, losing A-Rod or losing J-Lo?
You
Not
better
even
get this
close.
right. You better get this
It's
right.
losing A-Rod. He's
right.
already had J-Lo.
That's right.
He never had A-Rod. Boston walked the walk. No, they did not. They simply talked the talk. This is going to kill Affleck. He's a Red Sox fan.
He already had J-Lo for about a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
What's the over-under on any relationship with J-Lo?
Yeah.
So I believe the first 2 husbands found it less than a year.
Yeah.
He had her for more than a year. That's it. Time's up.
This
is going to cut to his soul.
He's
to
already
lose
he's
this
going
guy,
to get other
to not
beautiful
get
women
him.
down the road. You know what he should do,
He's
though?
Affleck.
He should right now, because of this loss of A-Rod,
What?
he should retire from movies where he isn't any good anyway and just move to Florida and become a starter at a golf course. That's it. White shoes, get out.
That would
That's
be
what
the
he should do.
stupidest career choice ever.
What's next? Mike, as I said yesterday, Greg Maddux would spurn the New York Yankees and end up with my Chicago Cubs.
Get the tape.
He's going
Get
to
it
sign
now.
a 3-year deal for $24 million. It is unbelievable how many times I get it right.
Yeah.
But enough about me, Mike. What about your Cubs? With the pitching they already had and Greg Maddux on top of that, what manner of lame excuse can you give that they are not the favorites to win the National League pennant?
Let's see. You had A-Rod in Boston, I believe, with Nomar in Chicago. Because that trade, it has to go through. You had that.
A-Rod got traded.
And then yesterday you said Steinbrenner got to have Maddux by the end of the week.
I believe I said he would join the Cubs
No, I
and
believe
give
you
them the
didn't.
most dominating
I believe you
pitching
didn't.
in all of baseball. Will you deny that they're the most dominating?
Yeah.
Who's better?
Well, there's no better.
Thank
they
you.
are right there with the Astros. In my lifetime, and I'm 45
Kerry
years
Wood,
old,
Mark
not since
Bryant,
I'm 10 years
Greg
old,
Maddux.
have I seen the Cubs
Maddux.
go into a season favored to win anything. And with the Astros, Tony, with their great pitching, look, they got Pettitte, they got Clemens added to
I don't care about the
Walton,
Astros.
Robertson,
I
and
don't care
Miller.
about-
Wait a
I care
minute.
about the Cubs.
Wood, Pryor, Maddux, and Bronco Clement. Great staff
Great.
on paper. And they buttressed the lineup with
Let me ask you a
Lee.
serious question. Did the Cubs
Derek
finish
Lee.
ahead of the Astros last
By
year?
a game.
Yes or
Yes.
no? Did they?
What does that mean?
If not
Was
for
it 100 games
if
ahead?
not for Bartman, would they have been to the World Series? And they are better now.
Here's our problem.
Are they better?
No, not necessarily. We didn't shore up
With Derek
the
Lee?
left field fan section so that somebody could reach over
Not
and
better with
snatch a
Derek
ball.
Lee and Greg
I hope
Maddux, the only guy ever
I hope so.
to win 15 games,
I
16 years in a
hope
row.
So, now, after running up the second highest payroll in baseball, your boy John Henry
my boy.
has the nerve to now say a salary cap would be good for Major League Baseball. After getting his butt whipped by George Steinbrenner in the chase for A-Rod, the Red Sox owner says a cap would, quote, deal with a team that has gone insanely far beyond the resources of all other teams, close quote. In other words, Tony,
Your boy John Henry wants the Yankees spending cap, but not everybody else's.
Yeah.
How hypocritical is he?
The Red Sox have the second highest payroll. They tried to get Alex Rodriguez, and they wouldn't pony up the necessary $16 million, and so Steinbrenner swooped in.
Yeah.
John Henry may be right in everything he says. He does not have the moral authority to say this. Maybe somebody from Oakland does. Maybe somebody from Florida does. Yeah. He does not.
Yeah, right.
Engaging in the
That's
spending he went in, he does not have the moral authority to say this.
He's a fraud and a loser. And I want to tell you about a statement George Steinbrenner released. Now I'm on the side with Steinbrenner. How about that?
For the first time. Good for you.
We understand John Henry must be embarrassed, frustrated, and disappointed by his failure in this transaction. Unlike the Yankees, he chose not to go the extra distance for his fans in Boston. And he goes on to say he's now trying to deflect his own accountability, and Steinbrenner's 100% right.
John Henry and Larry Lucchino, they talked the talk.
Frauds.
They did not walk the
whining.
Yep. Baseball commissioner for life, Bud Selig, has stepped in to throw water on the fabulous flames coming out from John Henry in Boston and George Steinbrenner in New York. Bud has issued a gag order preventing further sniping of the kind we heard yesterday, where John Henry called the Yankees, quote, insanely out of control, unquote. And Steinbrenner fired back about Henry's, quote, failure, unquote, to land Alex Rodriguez, and that Henry should, quote, get on with life and forget the sour grapes, unquote. Wilbon, you can't agree with Bud's gag order, right?
You're
can't.
going against your boy, Bud?
I know, but it's the wrong,
well, you know what?
time.
So am I.
Yeah.
No, I want to see, first of all, anytime you can beat down John Henry verbally for the stupid junk he's been saying over the last few days, you can. And I know you think that it's rare for me to be on Steinbrenner's side, but I love this, and I think George should continue issuing statements bashing your boy John Henry.
There's another part to this.
What?
Baseball has become this year the Red Sox and the Yankees. Baseball should be thrilled with these
Who
flames.
did you say the favorite was to win in the National League?
In the National League, the Cubs. Who? But every single time the Red Sox play the Yankees, unless one of them is horrendous, that's going to be on national television. Baseball has got to make the Yankees and Red Sox into something until the pennant races come along. So to try to squash that is insane on baseball's part.
We know
it's
baseball
insane.
has trouble marketing and trouble determining what's in its own best interest. We already know that. It's not the first time for Bud in this.
Insane.
Fans?
Frank, it's not him. What's next?
Yo, guys. Albert Pujols just signed a huge deal with the Cardinals. How long before you see him ending up on the Yankees?
Yeah, he has a 7-year deal for $100 million. And the Yankees can afford that easily. But he's not going to end up with the Yankees, and here's why. St. Louis is a great baseball city. They don't let people go. They bring them in. They brought in Mark McGwire. They brought in Edmonds. They don't let people go. He's not going anywhere.
St. Louis is not a stooge situation for a baseball team. And their owner, they don't have a stooge owner who, once he did lose somebody to the Yankees, would say, oh, it's in the best interest if you void the deal. No. The St. Louis Cardinals just don't let their people walk away, which is why they've been so successful in the National League for decades.
And I'm not saying that Pujols wouldn't be great for the Yankees, but right now there's nowhere necessarily to put him. Not right now. And he's staying in St. Louis. What's next?
Mike, Gary Sheffield is getting smeared with a link to steroids. Sheffield doesn't look much like a user. His body hasn't changed or inflated over the years, but his name turned up accidentally in connection with this Balco investigation. He says he bought vitamins from Balco, but nothing else, and that he'll be the first one up there for drug testing. A lot of guys say they'll be the first one up there, but nobody is ever the first one up there. You're an active steroid abuser, Mike.
Sure.
Should Sheffield secede from the union and take the test to prove his innocence?
I know Gary Sheffield a little bit. He's a guy who does what he wants to do. Not only that, he tends to back up what he says. People may not like what he says, but he tends to stand by his word. There's, we all play this game of what a guy looks like, comparing photos from 1990 to 2003, 4. If you're going to deal with appearance at all, Gary Sheffield doesn't look, he's not ripped.
Right.
He's a great athlete. He's not a guy who looks any different than he did 10, 12 years ago.
The other thing I find interesting about this baseball smear, because baseball is so polluted on the public relations trail, we do this with Barry Bonds, we do it with Sammy Sosa because they've gone from stick figures to linebackers.
Right.
We didn't do it with Michael Jordan when he got a lot thicker late in his career. Well, but it took a while for Barry Bonds
would be the word, not cut. Michael never looked like he was just cut.
He looked very different. Michael, I'm not accusing him.
I know you're not.
But it's age with Barry Bonds too.
It is.
Toss-up more likely to fall short of high expectations, the Yankees or the Cubs?
This one's kind of confusing to me, kind of like a double negative, because what the Cubs are going to do, they're going to disappoint by being disappointing. That's what they always are. They're perpetually disappointing. So does that mean that they're going to meet their expectations or not meet them?
The Yankees can win it all and therefore not disappoint anybody. We know the Cubs are going to disappoint because of one thing I'm going to give you, one piece of evidence. 1908.
Right.
We know that. I mean, I'm going into this thing. I am so pumped about this season. I can't wait for the season.
When have you
and
ever
my heart's gonna
been,
get
as a
ripped
Cubs
out.
fan, when have you ever been as excited about a season as you are right now? You came a couple
Last
of outs.
season.
You came a couple of outs from the World Series. No,
Yeah.
before the season.
Never.
And now you've got the best pitching staff in baseball.
1970. It's been, I was 10 years old. I mean, of course it's the Cubs. What's next? The back and forth between George Steinbrenner and Red Sox owner John Henry has degenerated, easy for me to say, into a sandbox situation, which is probably what baseball commissioner Bud Selig expected when he suggested they both shut up. Steinbrenner apparently plans to file a grievance with the Bud man because the Sox owner said criticism from Steinbrenner is like being insulted by Don Rickles. Dan, are you even old enough to know who Rickles is? And shouldn't these two, wouldn't you like to see these two settle this in a boxing ring, celebrity boxing?
Good to see that the two of these are right on the cutting edge of comedy here with the Don Rickles references. How about we bring out Shecky Green, too, while we're at it? This is marvelous for baseball. I love this. I don't want a gag order. I want to get them to talk more often. I want a reality TV show involving George Steinbrenner and John Henry in the same house.
I like it, too, but it does get to be sophomoric when Steinbrenner had such the upper hand on John Henry. Don't threaten to file a grievance. Just shoot off another memo where you lay John Henry out like the previous memo.
What's wrong with sophomoric, though? I applaud sophomoric.
You would applaud sophomoric. You're sitting in that seat. We're taking a break.
That's good, huh? We start with what will be a continuing theme of spring training, steroid paranoia. Jason Giambi has reported to the Yankees visibly much thinner than he was last season. Giambi, who testified to the Balco grand jury, says he has lost 4 pounds. Various newspaper reports estimate closer to 20 pounds. Wilbon, Giambi, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, all the big home run hitters are going to be scrutinized if they appear thinner this year. And people will ask, is this because they're off steroids? Don't you agree that they have lost the presumption of innocence among the general public?
Maybe among the general public, but not to me. I mean, we've gotten to a point now where nobody really believes in innocence until guilt is proven. I mean, prove it. If somebody has some knowledge, some evidence that they did steroids, then bring the damn evidence forward.
Well, there is evidence that 5 to 7% of major leaguers were using steroids.
Guys.
Well, the players have fought against the release of these names, and I think justifiably,
Yes, I do too.
for a very long time. I was affirmed today by what Dusty Baker said. He compared this to McCarthyism, which is great that Dusty Baker said McCarthyism, because none of these players have any idea who Senator McCarthy was. And he said they're going to go around and going to say, like they used to, does he look like a communist? Did he lose weight? Does that mean he's off the sauce? And I think that that's how people view it.
Well, I'm sure they do view it that way. By the way, I heard Giambi in an interview say he lost 4 pounds. Where the reports of 20? People walking around with like secret scales and slipping them under his feet.
He looks much thinner. Now, he was heavy at the end of last season, and he had knee work done.
He
so you want
needed
to
lose about 20.
But okay, this is what I'm asking you. If Sosa, if Bonds, if Giambi, if all the big home run hitters come in noticeably thinner, and then they say, test me every day, don't you think it's...
Test them. My first thing is, then test them.
But why do you think they'll say, test me every day now?
Well, because they would be off of it.
Right.
But you know what? The Major League Baseball ownership executives should have done a better job of dealing with this years ago instead of letting it slide.
The union
they didn't want to fight.
out.
They didn't want to fight the union. They backed down.
And
so this is what they got.
Now
and
they
by
have
the way,
the public on their
Bonds
side.
looks about the same size
Yes, he
as what
does.
we've seen.
And he said in a wide-ranging interview where he appeared more gracious than I'd ever seen him, he said, you can test me every single day.
I liked hearing that. 10 days ago, the New York Yankees got A-Rod. And all was well in New York for about a minute and a half. The tabloids can only take so much good news. The Post seems to have taken it upon itself to drive a wedge between A-Rod and Derek Jeter, neither of whom has ever expressed anything remotely close to dislike for one another. Tony, what in the world is the agenda here?
Yeah, well, it's good old-fashioned tabloid journalism in New York City. I was taking
Can you
a
have
train...
tabloid in journalism?
Well, it's not necessarily an oxymoron. I was taking a train down to Washington from New York yesterday. I was reading the New York Post, and they were parsing the sentences of Alex Rodriguez, saying things like, well, he says, I thought the problem was over. Well, why did he use the past tense? Why didn't he say in the present tense, I think the problem is over?
Look, you grew up in New York following all the teams. I am not from there. I don't get this. Is there a history of this? What's the deal?
45 years ago, whenever it was with Mantle and Maris, people tried to drive a wedge between them, even though you later found out they were friends. When Earl Monroe joined the Knicks, played alongside of Walt Frazier, people tried to drive a wedge between them. Reggie Jackson, Thurman Munson, who didn't like each other, two giant stars with the Yankees in the 70s, people tried to do that. These two guys are the biggest stars in New York City because it's a baseball town.
Wait a minute.
And one guy's moving
think about
over.
this for a second. I guess you're right.
Oh,
the Mets don't have anybody. The Knicks don't have anybody.
Like
There's nobody in hockey. I guess
nobody
there
in
is.
football. Not like this.
Okay.
These are two Hall of Fame guys, and one is moving over to third base. So for 4 days it was, this is the greatest thing in the world, and now it's, I bet they hate each other. Let's make sure they hate each other. That's the way it works.
Is that good for
That's my
baseball
hometown.
that it just stays on everybody's lips all the time?
Yeah.
That the New York Post has now generated this semi-discussion?
This is my hometown. Your hometown, dead people vote. In my hometown, there's tabloid journalists.
Dead people vote.
If we're going to talk about A-Rod and Jeter, we've got to talk about Nomar Garciaparra, who figured into the A-Rod to Boston trade talks all winter long. Now, Wilbon, a few months ago, I said there was no way Nomar Garciaparra could ever go back to play for the Boston Red
Yes,
Sox.
you did.
5 times.
Frequently and loud.
Well, he reported to camp today and said that though he was hurt by the way his name was thrown around in the trade talks, that he was ready, willing, and able to play for the Boston Red Sox. How do you think that's going to work out for him?
Just fine. I told you all along, and you haven't done enough mea culpas, by the way. It's got to go through. They can't go back into the locker room.
That's what I said.
It has to go through
That's
for
what
the
I
good
said.
of baseball.
That's-
You were the total idiot
It
about that
went
whole
through,
thing. No, it
just
didn't.
not for
No,
him.
Yeah, it
Just
didn't go
not
through.
for him.
And nor
That's
for
all.
Magli or Ordonez, and nor for
Right.
all the other
That's
people
right.
who are going to be involved.
That's right.
He's going to go in there, Tony. He's going to go to Fenway. He's going to hit
How's he
310
gonna do with
or
Kevin Millar?
320. Kevin Millar, they've been to dinner every night already. He's going to hit 310 or 320. He's going to hit
great player.
28 home runs. He's going to drive in 120 runs.
By the
He's
way,
going to be an MVP candidate. Of course,
and he
it's
was
gonna work
great with the
fine.
media, which he never is, charming, which he never is, and effusive, which he never
Well,
is.
he has to
Did
be
you see
now.
Pedro?
Has to be.
Did you see Pedro?
No, I didn't
reported
see
again?
Pedro.
Look at this. Look at this. He looks like Smokey Robinson from 1981 with
went
a
to the
Jerry
curl.
curl. Look at that.
He went to the curl.
How great is
Maybe
that?
that's a shot of Pedro 20 years ago.
No, I
Maybe that's not
expect
Pedro now.
tonight to sing Tracks of My Tears. That's
That's
what
your
I
boy,
expect.
Smokey.
No,
I know you love him.
Absolutely.
Toss up. Who would you take in a street fight? George Steinbrenner or John Henry?
I'm going to take Steinbrenner, though he's much older than John Henry, because he relishes a fight. He relishes the spotlight. He's been laying in wait for John Henry, and every time John Henry has gone up for the dunk, he has blocked it and said, get that weak stuff out of here.
Anybody who whines, okay, like a baby. I didn't get baseball should act in the best interest of the sport and not let my opponent have this guy, even though he could have gotten himself. Can't be that tough a guy.
What an
John Henry,
incredible
that was the
diversion for you.
whiniest deal
This
I've
is
ever.
an
I never said
incredible
George wasn't a tough guy. I never said he wasn't a great owner.
Here's what you used to do. You used to turn to me and say,
He's a jerk.
Go ahead, defend your moronic boy.
He acts like
you
a
said
moron.
that all the
He
time.
acts like a
But you
jerk
take him
all
in this
the time.
fight.
He's a great owner and a tough guy. He
Zimmer-
would be a beat-down situation.
Zimmer is a gerbil, not Steinbrenner. What's
Steinbrenner's
next?
a gerbil.
Braves pitcher John Smoltz thinks baseball needs to institute tougher steroid testing. He says it's obvious steroid use is occurring and feels that random testing is not enough. He says, quote, 1 through 8 in the batting lineup are hitting 20 home runs now. Steroids for sure plays a part in it, end quote. Michael, will Smoltz's fellow players and his union step up on this one and do as he says?
Well, a lot of his fellow players may step up, and a few already have. But the union is not interested in the health of the game or the good of the game or the competitive balance in the game. The union doesn't care about that. The union doesn't even care about its players' general well-being. I mean health. The union cares about one thing, Norman, beating management. That's all.
So you think at
That's
the
it.
expense of the game, at the expense
Yes.
of the long-term
Yeah, look at
integrity
their
and the
history.
popularity of the game, that they would actually would put that
Yes.
behind them?
They don't care.
That's how bad you think that union
It's
acts?
not, it's powerful. That's how they've gotten their way for so long. That's how they have a stranglehold on the game and ownership. They don't care about the game. They only care about beating management.
But at
That's
this
how they
point,
got
don't you
what
think the fan base at this point, I know the fans have no power,
None.
but next to gambling or including gambling, steroids they think is like a no-tolerance issue.
No,
if you do it, you should be gone.
I don't think fans care about steroids. I think the media cares about steroids, and I think now Bush and his administration care about. No, I don't think the fans care at all. This is not the 1950s. These kids don't even know these numbers. They don't know 61 and the magic of 56. They don't even know what 56 is. They think 56 is LT on a throwback jersey. That's it. Later for the union, that union. My union's okay.
We begin today with a bombshell from the San Francisco Chronicle. The Chronicle reports that testimony to the federal government in the Balco case has identified Jason Giambi, Gary Sheffield, and Barry Bonds among 7 players in 2 sports who received steroids and human growth hormone. So far, all the players named have specifically denied taking steroids. but clearly this story is not going away. Wilbon, what should baseball be doing right now?
Probably check with your boy, Gene Orza.
Commissioner
and
of
Donald
Baseball.
Fear, Commissioner, because they run baseball, so nothing's going to happen, sadly, Tony. I guess what they should be doing is trying to, and I don't know if this is against some sort of union rule, find out from some of the players, canvass some of the players to find out what veteran, smart, involved, active players really want to do about this.
Well, you have to have testing. Right now,
they got
public confidence is at a crossroads with baseball.
But the union doesn't, the union leaders don't care about that.
No,
you know that.
The union leaders have, now this is, I'm putting this on you.
Okay.
You are a collectively bargaining guy.
Yep.
You always say if it's collectively bargained, it's the law.
Yes.
They collectively bargained that there would be no strenuous drug testing. And now we both know there has to be drug testing.
Well, there has to be, but the players who agreed to that can collectively bargain. Tony.
Why should they?
Maybe they shouldn't. But there are players who have voiced the sentiment that they are concerned.
Mostly pitchers. Why? Because they're tired of turning around.
They're getting lit up.
Seeing a ball go 550 feet out of the
So you know
park.
what? There are a lot of smart, active pitchers out there. John Smoltz has spoken out about this. I don't mean Turk Wendell. I mean guys with some credibility over a number of years, and perhaps they have to go to their union representatives and say, hey, wait a minute, we got a problem here, and Stonewall is not going to solve it.
They have a twofold problem.
What?
One, the health of their workforce. If they're taking all these drugs, and you don't know what's going to happen
when
to
they
their
get to
bodies.
be 50 years old.
And two, the fact that baseball is now unfair. There's a crisis of confidence in the game, and they're going to have to submit to drug testing and get drugged on this, and they don't do it.
Do you think anything will change immediately?
No.
No, and neither do I. No, it's not.
And I like unions. I belong to two unions. This union is too powerful.
All right, we're going to go to football for a second. I'm sure we'll stay with steroids for days.
We're getting back into these steroid allegations with our PTI baseball authority, Richard Justice of the Houston Chronicle. Richie, the Chronicle in San Francisco reports that Bonds and Sheffield and Giambi all were supplied steroids and human growth hormone. They, of course, deny everything. What is your immediate reaction to this report?
Oh, my immediate reaction is this is the next step down a road that's going to get ugly and embarrassing, and it's going to leave a big dark stain on the game. I mean, come on, we've had a ton of anecdotal evidence. Guys show up with mounds of extra muscle, hits 20 more homers than he's ever hit before. So, I mean, there was some suspicion. People talked about it inside the game, and now as the wheels of justice start turning and turning, you know, it's going to get worse.
Do you believe that evidence is in fact growing here? I mean, if you were to do a timeline, would this be real evidence to you?
Yeah, we're getting, I mean, they were delivered to these guys. That's now on the record as evidence. And to go with all the anecdotal evidence, with the performance evidence, with the fact that guys just look different and that the game was changed. I mean, you know, it looks like building a case. One player said to me, what happens now if some of these guys lied to a grand jury? Then being embarrassed about their home run totals might be the least of their worries.
Richie, even though the case appears to be building, is there any part of this that seems unfair and that proof has not been offered yet? People seem to be already guilty in the court of public opinion.
Well, if you're a player like Alex Rodriguez, who I think probably does everything the right way, and a lot of other players have told me the same thing, you're furious. You're saying, I'm stained by this whole era because some number of guys cheated. And, I think that was part of Jeff Kent's tirade last week about Babe Ruth using steroids, is that, hey, everybody that plays is now under the same umbrella. You are presumed guilty until proven innocent, and that's not fair to some guys.
Or we have to start here with the union and the question about Major League Baseball Players Association. Does the union even feel that this hurts the game in any way? I mean, do they grasp this at all, Richard?
The union, I know you're gonna laugh when I tell you this, sees it as a privacy issue, sees it as we do not have to prove our innocence. Now, you and I could argue you're staining the game, that the stringent steroid testing has been good in the NFL, that you need it. Now, we'll say this. The players took charge of the labor negotiations down when it got down to the end game last year in 2002. And they can do it in this time. But it's very hard to speak with a coherent voice to your union leaders who have been so good to you.
Well, so they don't see this at all affecting directly their players' long-term reputation. Do they even concern themselves with that, Richie?
the players have to take charge of this issue, and they have to tell the union, we want this. You know, the union has told guys, don't be tested on your own. Hey, if I'm Gary Sheffield and I'm clean, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to be tested. And I invite my 24 other teammates to be tested with me. You know, remember, the Chicago White Sox a year ago refused to take the test because they wanted them to come up as positive tests so that the additional testing would be kicked up. That's what has to happen, is that players have to take charge now.
Can Bud Selig do anything about this, whether it's just sort of grabbing the pulpit and talking out about it, or can he pressure publicly the union, Richard?
That's what he's done. Now, look, in defense, no, let's just say this about the owners. It was never a high priority issue. It was an issue. It was a front burner issue, but the things they wanted solved in the last two labor agreements were always economically based. And now this is on the table, and basically all Bud can do is stand up and say, hey, we're testing in the minor leagues. We think it's the right thing to do. But until the labor agreement is reopened, I doubt that the union is going to budge much unless there's just a tsunami from the players.
Richard, we care about this in the media. We feel like we're uncovering something and on a real story. But is your sense that fans care about this, or do fans just want to see homers go out of the ballpark?
I think that's one of the things the doping experts have said. Hey, look, nobody wants to see average. Everybody wants to say, hey, I went to the ballpark and I saw the greatest home run hitter in history. You know, nobody wants that. But at the other hand, some of the players feel like the fans are against them because they want the romanticism of Babe Ruth and Roger Maris. They want to remember what was.
Yeah. Last question, quick answer. Do you believe, you've covered baseball for 20 years, do you believe that many, or at least some of these records we've seen lately, have been achieved dishonestly?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
Richard Justice, boys and girls. We're taking a break.
You like that story, don't you? It's better than a nice little story.
What's he wearing on his head?
You're Jose Canseco.
Yeah, good.
You tried out for the Dodgers yesterday, and they expressed no interest in signing you.
Right.
Did you really care about coming back, or was this just a publicity stunt for your new book?
I'm going to tell you something. I'd like to play baseball again. I am 38 homers short of 500. And 500 is the magic number.
Not for you.
So far,
Not for
everybody
you.
who hit 500 homers gets into the Hall of Fame, and I'd like that. Now, I grant
You and Dave Kingman not going in.
Well, he didn't get 500.
He's close.
I grant you I'm a step slower because I'm wearing an electronic surveillance bracelet on my ankle. And I grant you that it's tough for a team to absorb the cost of flying my parole officer all over the country. And I grant you that I got a book coming out in a few months, and I'd like the publicity.
How can you play in the National League, Jose? You couldn't catch the ball when you were a DH.
First.
You haven't played outfield in 10 years.
The thing is, if you're asking me if someone will put me on a major league roster, yes, I want to play. I've been a player for 20 years.
Not putting you on a major league roster.
Wilbon, your boy Sammy Sosa says that there will never be any asterisks next to what he and Mark McGwire did in 1998 when McGwire got 70 home runs and Sammy got 66. Sosa said, quote, what Mark and I did is going to stay there because we didn't have anything to do with anything that's happening today, unquote. Do you think, Wilbon, that Sosa's home run totals are going to go unquestioned?
No. Now, Sosa's home run totals may not come under the same suspicion as other people's. In Bonds, is because of the association with Balco and his trainer. But, no, Sosa's already had the cork bat incident, which brought his totals under question.
When I write about this, whenever I write about steroids, I always try to use the names McGwire, Sosa, and Bonds. Because I think there's some history to this, if it exists. Now, the problem we've got in baseball is they never really codified what was legal, what was illegal.
That's right.
I don't think there should be any asterisks on anything.
That's
but
right.
I think you should start today to look forward to rid yourself of this problem where you have to have an asterisk.
We can't get into this for another 20 minutes. We're not going to start today because the union is not going to let baseball start today because the union won't start today. So we don't know. But no asterisk. The home runs were hit. We don't know the circumstances. We don't know. You can't put an asterisk next to something you don't know why you're putting them next to.
70 years or more than 70 years, 80 years, something like that. There were two guys who went 60 or higher, and then suddenly from 1998 on, there were 48 guys.
Sosa, three times in 4 years, over 60, and didn't leave the league a single one of those three times.
Segment where they make me wear earrings. Let's get the first call.
Volunteer.
What's up, fellas? Do you see baseball ever getting rid of steroids?
I see them getting rid of steroids this year. I see comprehensive testing. I see regular and random testing. I see the rank and file baseball players saying to the union, There's a crisis here. We've got to be tested.
You need a prescription crystal ball.
I have that.
You are nuts.
No, I'm not.
Once you get chemists involved, they discover new stuff
Right.
that the league chemists, that the police chemists haven't discovered yet.
Right.
And it's just going to be a race. One after another. You
That's
don't put
right.
the genie back in the bottle. Pardon the
No,
pun.
that's right.
There's always going to be steroids
I
in
see
baseball.
Major League Baseball hiring its own chemists to determine what the new design of
It's still
steroids
cops and
are.
robbers, and they won't
Okay.
be ahead of the other guy. So there are always going to be steroids in baseball.
I see it.
Always.
I see
The
it.
wrong
What's
way.
next?
The money. Such
That would
city.
be a first, huh?
Yesterday, a whole lot of people acted stupid over a spring training game in which the headline players, A-Rod and Jeter, were talking to the media by the 6th inning. Real sports fans were watching golf from Doral, or golf from Dubai, or Maryland versus Virginia, or Gonzaga winning at the last second, while some seamheads were paying top dollar for tickets to an exhibition game. The offenders start with, of course, the New York tabloids. Bob, were you guilty of being emotionally involved in this melodrama also?
I try to remain detached from this the spring training, but you have to understand, this is the ultimate sports passion play. The Red Sox themselves, Red Sox versus the Yankees. It had a cachet that no spring training game is. It was the most anticipated, meaningless sports event in New England history. Okay.
All right, okay, wait. You've been covering spring training for 30 plus years.
Yes.
Did you actually, you were there yesterday. Did
Yes.
you feel this was different?
It was different because of you don't have 250 people ordinarily covering the game. You don't have commemorative pins at $6 a whack commemorating an exhibition game, which they sold. They ran out of.
That's
You don't have people lining up at 6:30 in the morning to get in, okay, ordinarily. So it was totally different.
Well, in the
But-
meantime, though,
what did it
Gary
matter?
Sheffield, the previous day in a real event, hurt his thumb. A thumb has been injured before. He could miss 2 to 3 months, Bob. That was like in the fine print on this weekend.
Yeah, we didn't even know. Calling all baseball theorists, conspiracy theorists. I mean, look at this. Before the Red Sox-Yankee game, Nomar Garciaparra was a one-man welcome wagon, kissing and hugging every Yankee from Hal Chase to Hensley Mullins. Are the Yankees recruiting you, Nomar was asked. Well, you never know, he replied. In this game, anything could happen. Now, Mike, was Nomar just being sociable, or was he sending a major message to Red Sox management?
Sociable with a purpose. How about that? I mean, why not? I mean, if the Red Sox are playing hardball with Nomar, and I don't blame management for doing that, let Nomar should be allowed to play hardball back. And the Yankees, I mean, the Yankees can always, look, you think the Yankees wouldn't be, if let's say Ken Griffey Jr. had been in a preseason game, a spring training game with the Yankees yesterday, maybe he should have been hugging and kissing everybody, because they now need another outfield.
See, Nomar now has, with the collapse of the whole thing with A-Rod going to the Yankees, guess who the big winner is, aside from the Yankees and A-Rod? Of course, it's Nomar. He now has all that leverage in the relationship with the Red Sox. He is going to enjoy this season. He's already, I'm telling you, he's going to enjoy it. He is going to play it all for all it's worth. He's going to try to have a good year.
So no leftover animosity, you're telling me?
No. He's going to, no, he has, it's in his best interest to go out and have a hell of a year, a big year. But he's going to tease management. He's going to do things like this. He's going to enjoy it. Believe me, you're going to see a mirthful, playful side of Nomar Garciaparra the world has never before seen.
It means more angst in Boston. I love that. Brought him out. Babe Ruth. Stars, big stars.
On Capitol Hill today, Senator John McCain told Donald Fear that he's got to come up with a satisfactory, comprehensive drug testing plan, or Congress will come up with one for him. Fear said he couldn't commit to any drug testing plan beyond which he and the baseball commissioner agreed to in 2002. Wilbon, you really didn't think that the baseball union was going to cave in just because they were brought to Washington, D.C., do you?
Oh, yeah, I did, and I do. Because, see, Fair and Orza think they're Robert Mitchum and John Wayne. See, they do. They think when they walk in, they're the toughest guys in the room all the time. Now, let's see how tough they are. They want to take on Congress. I want to see this. See, I agree almost all the time on these sports-related issues with Senator McCain. I want them to take Congress on.
Let me go back to what we discussed in hockey. I don't think it's the federal government's role to get involved in sports. I don't think that they should be telling, let baseball clean up baseball.
I tend to agree with you, but that's not the way it's set up, Tony. I agree with you. I would rather the federal government not be involved with dealing with baseball, but they are. And so Fear and Orza have decided they are
dealing with it because President Bush wants to use it on the campaign.
Yep.
All right, why don't we go back to what you said when this originally happened? Bring pressure from the players to the union.
That's what I still believe in. But I like seeing Fair and Orza, your boy.
Again,
I like seeing they're tough guys.
Nixon.
They're tough
Nixon.
guys. My vote's a leader, and
Smack him.
Smack him. Threatened to, and maybe he has to
Smack
do it. I was hoping to go an entire week without saying the word steroids, but I can't. your boy, Bud Selig, sensing he has a little momentum in the wake of Congress putting a beat down on your boy, Donald Fair.
How can they both
want
be my
to
boy?
invoke the best interest of the game clause to fight steroids. The clause would allow Bud to simply impose unilateral steroid testing.
Right.
The union says we're sticking with the collective bargaining agreement. Tony, you think Bud has the guts to get tough with the union?
I don't see Bud Selig as a wartime consigliere. You know what I'm talking about? Remember from The Godfather? That's why they said to Robert Duvall, you're out because you're not a wartime consigliere.
So who's going to do it?
I think this is a calculated risk and a very risky move. If you drive the union away, if you drive the marginal players who are in favor of testing away because you try to impose this,
union,
then you make the union's position harder and more supported by the members. Curt Schilling said the other day, I'll take a test anytime. I don't want baseball to administer it. I want an objective third party.
So do it. So fine.
But
How hard
if
is that?
Bud Selig comes in like this, acting for the owners at official baseball, it's very risky. He better be sure. He better take the temperature of all the players to make sure he can get this done.
Bud's feeling himself.
Yeah, because John McCain
got a little smackdown in Congress on the Hill, and he's feeling
but
himself.
that may not be the wise position for Bud.
Your contradiction. T-Mac's the only one that cares when it suits you.
Shane Wallace and Ben Wallace playing great defense right now. Curt Schilling is everywhere this spring, commenting on everything. Should I be annoyed or appreciative that at least an athlete is speaking out?
Well, I love my athletes to speak out, but Curt Schilling, and I love Curt Schilling, by the way, but guys in baseball, I talk to them on my radio show every week, and all of them say he's an annoying gas bag, and that 80% of the league, like I'll ask them for a percentage, and they say more than 80% of the league gets annoyed by his know-it-allness.
From a media standpoint, you like a guy who's iconoclastic and is going to talk about every little thing and who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. But when he says, we don't trust the owners to administer the drug test, we want an independent third party, and then the union admits it is an independent third party doing it, but that undercuts.
How do you like Major League Baseball having a press conference, though, to announce, hey, Curt Schilling's misinformed? How many press conferences could they have to discuss how often you and I are misinformed?
Well,
every time
they wouldn't need one because I don't mind admitting I'm wrong. And when I catch you in a preposterous contradiction, you should at least say, you're right, I'm wrong.
How many points did
Time
Brady
for a
score?
break. Let's move to baseball. Wilbon, the last guy on earth I thought would back down is Don Fehr, the head of the baseball union. But apparently Fehr is finding a little room to wiggle on the issue of drug testing. Yesterday, after talking to the Boston Red Sox at spring training, Fehr was quoted as saying, you have to be willing to look at things again as current situations change, unquote. Does this mean that Don Fehr would allow a change in the drug testing policy before the collective bargaining agreement ends in 2006?
It means, first and foremost, that Don Fehr and Gene Orza, who came through this whole steroid thing, came into it as John Wayne and Robert Mitchum. And they came to Capitol Hill. And what did I tell you would happen after all the congressional hearings? What did I tell you would happen? They would go out of here as
arrested.
Screech and Urkel. Okay, so they have backed down, they have moonwalked. They look like a couple of wimps now because all they did when they came in was they did this. And now they're saying, oh, we're sorry, we misread our own union.
They probably talked to their players as well as getting the heat from Capitol Hill. But having said that, I mean, I understand you're being a man about this, but do you think at least they're doing the right thing by considering a change?
Yes, and they get no credit. I know that's your next question because they were forced into it. They were popped around, and now they're doing the right thing. Good. I'm glad.
But if they're doing the right thing, you know, you don't care. They
don't get any credit when you're forced to do the right thing. All right.
You're a tough guy.
Got me all heated up now.
You are a tough guy.
I'm doing this last story under protest. I don't care about hair stories. I made my peace with not having any a long time ago. Looks like you ought to too.
I should.
Anyway, have you seen Johnny Damon of the Red Sox?
Look at him.
He hasn't cut his hair since before last season. Didn't shave his head in October when all his teammates did for solidarity. And he doesn't appear to be prepared to cut it anytime soon. Tony, real men don't care about what other men do with their hair. So what's your excuse?
The only reason we're doing this story is because the producers found that video and they wanted to make fun of Johnny Damon. So we admit that up front. Having said that, don't you think he looks like Bigfoot? Don't you think it's possible?
I don't know what Bigfoot
Don't you think it's possible that when he goes to play at Minnesota, where the people are aware of Bigfoot, that he'll be captured and handcuffed and sent into confinement?
He looks like every guy in the 60s and the early 70s.
No, he actually
including you.
No, because I didn't have straight hair at any point in my life.
You had a big red afro.
He
looks like you.
You don't
with his hair
You
down.
don't find it unusual what he looks like now? You know, for a guy,
man.
Yeah, and you're a man too, but you carry a purse,
right?
Okay,
Secure in my
taking
manhood.
a break.
You watch any of that last night? I didn't see Dream Job. Ready or not, the Yankees and Devil Rays open the Major League Baseball season in Japan at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Is this pre-dawn showdown the best way for Major League Baseball to showcase the debut of its premier player on its premier team?
Nothing says Americana and opening day like Japan, 5 a.m., and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. But baseball's an easy thing to criticize, obviously, but what's the choice here? If you're going to play in Japan and you're going to sell the game to the Japanese people, you can't play it at 5 o'clock their time. You've got to play it,
Well, do you have to play regular season? I mean, the National Football League plays preseason games overseas. I know the NBA has started its season a lot of times with games overseas. This is baseball.
It's such a good relationship, though. We've got their best players now.
So they can't pick a game July 4th?
Matsui, we've got to keep it, we've got to keep the relationship.
So play the game later. They're not going to hate us because we play the game another time, are they?
You can't play it in the middle of the season. You can't do it. No, you can't do it. Then it takes too long to get back and forth.
I want to see him at a regular time, not 5. That's Tony time, 5 in the morning. Barry Bonds is launching his own website to connect with fans and show them the, quote, real Barry Bonds, close quote. Will this foray into technology help improve his image?
Well, part of this, too. I'm not sure how much Barry cares about his image necessarily. Part of this is he's going to be selling memorabilia on the website, and this helps sell it. But you're sort of preaching to the converted here, aren't you? People who are going to see what it is that Barry Bonds has to say on an internet site are already probably pretty interested in Barry Bonds.
Maybe, but Tiger Woods has done this and made it work. We in traditional sort of mainstream media, we don't like to see this because we don't control that message. Right. A player like Barry Bonds, who has everybody else talking about him all the time, wants to control the message.
And I don't blame him because the message gets so distorted when it's told by us, especially as it comes from Barry Bonds. The problem is that so many of these guys end up getting in trouble on their websites.
You mean like T.O.?
Any number of them that go on their
websites.
Barry Bonds
seems to be a lot more circumspect than T.O. when it comes to sort of public utterance.
Right.
Then he get himself in trouble?
I'm surprised that he's going this route just because I thought he didn't care what anybody
thought. Big internet guy, though. Big internet guy. I'll let you read this one. Zach.
You never even watched a minute of the show, so stop. We begin today with the sights and sounds of spring, the crack of the bat, the speed of the ball, and baseball's opening day in Japan. Around 5 in the morning, the New York Yankees lost to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in a little city I like to call Tokyo, Japan. It is completely idiotic that the Yankees opened the baseball season in Japan. But more to the point, Wilbon, at 0-1, is this what $200 million buys your boy George Steinbrenner, a last-place team?
Let me just say this. The Yankees are one more loss away from your boy Steinbrenner firing Joe Torre and ripping Derek Jeter and having to do another commercial.
Worse.
One more loss.
Worse. Revoking the visas. He will never let them back in at 0-1.
And the New York Post and Daily News will have screaming headlines, Yanks 0-2.
You know what? It's preposterous that they open this season in Japan and that when they come back, the Yankees have 2 more exhibition games before they resume the schedule.
And whose fault
this
is
is stupid.
Your boy Bud. And Major League Baseball, who can't even figure out how best to showcase a marquee team with all these wonderful players that everybody, yes, including me, wants to see. They can't get it right.
Seriously, do you think that if they lose 2, do you think this will make the Yankees really nervous? You think A-Rod and Jeter will actually be nervous?
No, they won't. It'll make the boss crazy. But how about this seriously? You think the National Football League would start a season by having the Redskins play a game, play a couple more preseason games, and then resume the season?
No, but they do start by having teams go out of the continent.
Pre-season, not the real season.
Did I say it was wrong?
Much more important than a bogus opener in Japan.
Toss up more threatening Achilles injury. Nomar or Mark Pryor?
Well, now, I think it's Nomar in this sense that because he plays shortstop and plays every day, he can re-injure it all the time. But let me say to Cubs fans like you, Wilbon, this is a disaster for your club. He will not play at all, and the Cubs will win 60 games.
Here's a guy who everything depends on his delivery. He uses his legs. They call him Calfzilla because his legs are so big and his delivery is so sound. Now, if you alter that delivery and you start compensating, you may get elbow trouble, you may get shoulder trouble.
I can't believe that you are not under the desk weeping. It's over for the Cubs. Cubs picked to win it all. It's horrendous.
No, we picked to win it all. Only fools like you.
You picked up. It is horrendous. What's next? Tarina?
22.
Here's some great news for everybody outside the 312 area code. Wilbon, Chicago.
847.
Sports Illustrated's cover this week has Kerry Wood. It's not 312.
It is.
And the tagline, quote, hell freezes over, the Cubs will win the World Series.
Stop it!
Wilbon, which is the more powerful jinx, the Sports Illustrated cover jinx or the curse of the Billy Goat, or are they now working in tandem as your Cubs go down the toilet?
Billy Goat. It's ironic. I mean, Mark Fryer.
Hear the flush.
Mark Fryer is now out until the All-Star break. Well, he says he's out until May, give or take a week.
He said
it was April, give or take a start.
No, he says that's the most optimistic is May.
So he's out till the All-Star break. I mean, let's just face it, he's out to that. So then, you know what this could do? And I'm already hoping.
Around the country, people are cheering that the Cubs are going down.
So they're cheering for the Yankees and the Sox?
They're just sick of people like you.
They're not sick of the Cubs.
They're sick of you.
The whole attraction and appeal of the Cubs is their lovable loser nature. And this plays
I thought that was
right
the Red
into
Sox
that.
appeal.
No, it's the Cubs appeal.
Oh, really?
And it's always been day baseball and losing, and that's the appeal now. Even when they're supposed to be great, they can't get it right.
When was the last time in your lifetime the Cubs won the pennant?
I ain't that old.
That's right.
Okay.
Never. We're taking a break. When we come back, we're fired. Can't do that.
You're fired.
Yeah.
Did I do that right?
Did that very well.
Never seen the show. Yesterday, we presented new testimony as to why the Cubs are cursed. Today, it's the Red Sox turn. Nomar Garciaparra, still the best everyday player the Sox have, will apparently be sidelined into May with an inflamed Achilles. The Sox were put together to get it done this year because half the team's key players will be free agents next year. So, Tony, you spent the whole winter slurping the Sox.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me they should not worry about Nomar?
No, you have to worry that Nomar isn't playing. You also have to worry about Nomar's attitude in this sense. The Sox traded him. They got rid of him over the winter, and now they were forced to bring him back. The one
You think he might delay his own return?
I don't know.
Withhold excellence?
He's in a
I don't
contract
think he'll
year.
do that.
I don't think he'll do that because he's in a contract year. But he may not love them the way he used to love them.
Okay.
The one saving grace for the Red Sox, as opposed to the Cubs, is that their pitching staff appears to be healthy. Pedro, Lowe, and Wakefield and Schilling appear to be healthy. Maybe you can get the pitchers are usually ahead of the hitters. Maybe you can get through April that way. But Nomar's their best player.
Here's the problem. They're playing in a division with the Yankees.
Yes.
They're not playing in a division where they can get off to a slow start. Because if they fall 6 games behind, everybody in Boston is going to go crazy.
The pressure on the Red Sox and the Yankees this year is enormous. And that division is better than people think. Yeah. Baltimore got a lot better. Toronto's pretty good.
Who's more cursed, Cubs or Sox?
I would say the Cubs because it goes back even further with the Cubs. There's a report in today's Boston Globe.
All right, we've got a new case of a Major League Baseball player having to defend himself publicly against a steroid accusation. This time, the accused is pitcher Mark Pryor. Jack McDowell, the former White Sox pitcher, told the Chicago Sun-Times that Pryor's slow-healing Achilles tendon is, quote, what happens to guys who use steroids. That's one of the telltale things, close quote. The Cubs ace has already denied steroid use, saying, quote, that's just a stupid comment. It's ignorant. Now, Tony, is this what Dusty Baker was talking about when he invoked McCarthyism? And what do you make of this latest steroid episode?
Yeah, I think this is just what Dusty Baker was talking about. Now, Jack McDowell, who I'm sure is a smart fellow, I believe he went to Stanford, but does he have a medical degree? Now everybody out there asked the question, says, you know, that guy looks like he might be on steroids.
He lost some weight. He must be off the cycle.
He used to have freckles. He doesn't have freckles anymore. That's an obvious sign of steroids. And what I think this calls for, again, is testing for the players because they have lost the presumption of innocence. This is a perfect example of that.
We've heard, and among each other. This isn't one of those things where they can say, oh, the media is doing this. I mean, we got Turk Wendell. We heard after Barry Bonds. Player after player.
And it's going to continue until they come up with a testing policy that the public and the ex-players can live with. One first one, Wilbon. You ready?
Exercise there, Tony. Yes, I'm ready.
Pedro Martinez got rocked in his last start. One scout says he's lost something off his fastball. And a New York Daily News columnist says he's throwing mush balls. Time to panic in Boston?
Did the New York Daily News columnist have a catcher's mitt and a chest protector? How the hell would the New York Daily News columnist know? You know they always panic in Boston. They panic in Boston the day after they won the World Series about the next year. I tell you what, Randy Johnson right now looks a lot worse than Pedro. Pedro will be there when the time matters.
The day after they won the World Series. That was like 60 years ago. What do you know what they did when they won the World Series?
If they won the World Series.
Pedro's the best pitcher in baseball, has been for 6 or 7 years. He's going to lead the league in ERA no matter what happens at the beginning of the year because he always does. I would feel great if I had Pedro on my squad, provided Pedro was healthy enough to get out on the field.
I would too.